We are underway now in race number 459. It's the first semi-final of the schoolboys double sculls. Lane 1 from Varsity College on the Gold Coast, Ryan Hitchler and Joshua Pickering Pentland, coached by James Harcombe. Lane 2 from St Patrick's College Ballarat, we have Oscar Farrington and Harrison Grant, coached by Jamie McDonald and Paul Blanchfield. Lane 3 from Brisbane State High, Owen Johnson and Ruben Brosnan, coached by Tom Riles and Tom Herborn. Lane 4 from Scotch Oakburn College down in Tasmania, Ollie Dowling and Cameron Parker, coached by Jim Wilson and Andrew Dick. In Lane 5 from Northern Beaches Secondary College here in Sydney, Tobias Elias and William Robertson, coached by Tom Schranko and Kieran Kabelke. Lane 6 from Cranbrook School, Lachlan Larson and Jack Stone, coached by Adrian Henning and Sam Carroll. Lane 7 from Varsity College, a second crew of Charles Hill and William Crelly, coached by James Harcombe. And then Lane 8 from Newcastle Grammar, Edward Baker and Mitchell Chung, coached by Brad Smith.
So the Varsity College crews there from the southern end of the Gold Coast would be rowing out of Oxenford Rowing Club shed, I'd say, by James Harcombe being the coach of those crews. But the early leaders is the crew in Station 4, Scotch Oakburn, Ollie Dowling and Cameron Parker. And Big Brendan Long heading up the program at Scotch Oakburn these days, Olympian in the quad scull. His crew is leading from the Northern Beaches crew, Tobias Elias and William Robertson, part of the Tom Schramko and Kieran Kabelke, very successful squad. And Cranbrook there, Lachlan Larson and Jack Stone, Adrian Henning and Sam Carroll. I happened to see Sam a couple of days ago and said g'day, I haven't seen him for a couple of years. But, nice sculling, nice controlled sculling from the crew in the lead there, the crew from Scotch Oakburn. Yeah, second place Northern Beaches, sorry there, Stuart, in with their croker oars with the pink sleeves there. Easy to identify the croker oars. And then in third place, Cranbrook.
Yeah, Varsity College sitting in fourth place. So they were just ahead of St Patrick's College, Brisbane State High, the second Varsity College crew, and then back to Newcastle Grammar. So certainly plenty to play for at the moment. We've got the first 4 through to the A final, with the rest going through to the B final. So our first 3 crews looking comfortable out in front, and we're just seeing a push come here from the Northern Beaches Secondary College. You mentioned there, Ray, the controlled sculling, and it really is easy to fly and die and be very frenetic, but the recovery's called that for a very good reason.
Absolutely, and they've drawn within about a metre of the leaders as they head towards the 1,000 metre mark. The blue boat there of the Scotch Oakburn College crew, and about a metre is all the margin over the Northern Beaches crew, Northern Beaches State College, I'd say it is. Tobias Elias and William Robinson, obviously rowing out of the Mossman shed, and very near, about 2 feet the margin there. Cranbrook still holding down third place, then back to the St Patrick's College crew from Victoria, Oscar Farrington and Harrison Grant, coached by Jamie McDonald and Paul Blanchfield. Then follows Brisbane State High, Johnson and Brosnan, coached by Tom Riles and Tom Herborn. Done a fantastic job at Brisbane State High School over the last 12 months or so. They finished 4th in the boys' head of the river, which is one of the best efforts from State High in quite some time. This is bow ball to bow ball, lanes 4 and 5, with lane 5 now just getting their bow ball slightly in front. It's, if we could get the timing so they're both on the same part of the stroke, they'd be absolutely locked together, but one goes to the front, the other one comes back. But the Northern Beaches crew has now just taken a slightly narrow lead over the crew from Scotch Oakburn. Tasmanians are taking a push, though.
Yeah, it's going to be another fascinating finish in a day that has been absolutely replete with them. Cranbrook sitting in third place, and then a couple of lanes across from Scotch Oakburn, we have the St Patrick's College, just looking like they're starting to move up on that Cranbrook crew, and then Brisbane State High about another half a boat length back in 5th place. So just out of the qualification, final qualification position for the A final, which will be on tomorrow. But certainly the Northern Beaches Secondary College and Scotch Oakburn College, our 2 leading crews. You can just see there the bow seat, William Robertson of Northern Beaches Secondary College, just having a look out to his right, to his left, and he'll be very happy with what he's seeing at the moment. Just under a canvas between Northern Beaches Secondary College and Scotch Oakburn, 0.09 of a second. Cranbrook in third place. Then the fourth and final qualification position through 1500 was St Patrick's College, a second back to Brisbane State High. Do they have it in them? Varsity College in lane number 1 in sixth place, then Newcastle Grammar and Varsity College in lane number 7 at the back of our field. But just when we thought, Ray, the finals were nice, they were tight, they were competitive, our first semi-final in the first ever semi-final for the schoolboys double scull, and it is Scotch Oakburn and Northern Beaches Secondary College battling it out for the first qualification position.
It's absolutely hammer and tong there. These two crews, one in a blue boat, one in a white boat, and it's the white boat that's holding sway at the moment. But the blue boat is not turning it up. They are still going hammer and tong there with the crew from Northern Beaches State College. So blue boat is Scotch Oakburn, white boat Northern Beaches. Then back to another fascinating rate for third and fourth. That Brisbane State High School crew have put on a bit of a charge there, Stuart, and they've moved up into fourth clearly, I would suggest.
Yeah, moving up quite nicely ahead of that crew from St Patrick's College, looking like they may just have run out of legs in that third 500. Out in front though, Scotch Oakburn and Northern Beaches Secondary College. They have been battling the entire way down the course. They are still bow ball to bow ball. You can see the boat bouncing as they come up towards the line. Scotch Oakburn just with their bow balls out in front. A couple of big strokes left to go. It is going to be Scotch Oakburn to take the semi-final win by, oh geez, that was not much. At half a second. I don't think it was that much ahead of Northern Beaches Secondary College, Tobias Elias and William Robertson. Then in the battle for the final qualification positions, great finish from Brisbane State High, Owen Johnson and Ruben Brosnan. They'll go through in third to the A final, as will Cranbrook's Lachlan Larson and Jack Stone. St Patrick's College in fifth place. Sixth place will go to the Varsity College of Hitchler and Pickering Pentland in lane number 1. Seventh to Newcastle Grammar, Baker and Chung. And eighth going to the second Varsity College crew of Hill and Crelly. 6:56.58, the margin 0.49 by 15.22, and the second semi-final is on the course. Same progression, the first 4 to go through to the final, to the A final, the remaining 4 to go to the B final. In lane 1 is Gippsland Grammar, Connor Howard and Jack Courtney. Lane 2, Northern Beaches, Julian Lameta and Floris Elias. In lane 3 is Cranbrook, Krista Vlahos and Luke Martin. Lane 4 is Western Heights College from Victoria. Ty Bailey and Xander Bailey, the identical twins. So they must be from Geelong, because Jeff Watt is coaching with Ian Bridgeland. Norwood International High in lane 5, Nicholas Halulis and Oliver Evans Wood. Lane 6, Newcastle Grammar, Lucas Burton and Ronan Brown. Lane 7, Unley High, Nate Lesue and Thomas Osborne. And lane 8, Gippsland Grammar, Hamish Rajapakse and Stuart Ray. We're just seeing here Norwood International High, Nicholas Halulis and Oliver Evans Wood. They do have the lead, and they do have a very strong lead through 1,250 metres. So then we've got a little bit of a gap back in the field. You can see there, great footage from the drones. Across from Norwood International, we've got Newcastle Grammar, Burton and Brown, and also being pushed by Unley High, Lesue and Osborne. And then the fourth qualification position does look to be the crew from Western Heights College, Tad and Xander Bailey. So our 1, 2, 3 and 4 for the A final, looking fairly well settled at the moment. We're just having a look there at Newcastle Grammar in the distinctive pink bucket hats, and then those blue striped zooties. Across from them, the orange of the Western Heights College, Tad and Xander Bailey. And now just having a look across here at the Unley High crew of Lesue and Osborne.
So the pink bucket hats, are they new?
They've been for a couple of years, I think, with Newcastle Grammar. Certainly very distinctive. Makes it easy for us as commentators to pick them out.
Absolutely, yeah.
From a lineup.
So 6.5 seconds, more than 2 lengths the lead, Norwood International High over Newcastle Grammar. Grammar just 1.19 back to Western Heights College from Geelong in Victoria. And then Unley High holding down 4th place. And those 4 certainly look comfortable to go through from lane 2, Northern Beaches, Cranbrook and Gippsland Grammar and Gippsland Grammar. So Gippsland Grammar in stations 1 and 8, but unfortunately off the pace in the second half of the field.
So it's Norwood International High, Nicholas Halulis and Oliver Evans Woods. They're rowing, I think the boat I just saw was called the Days, and they'll remember these days because they're leading to go through to the final to go through to an A final at the Australian Rowing Championship. So,
and one of their coaches, I can see Brenton Terrell on the far side there with his helmet on. And I imagine it's Alex Worthington that's with him. But a great race for second, third and fourth. Where you finish determines what lane you'll be in the final. So finishing positions is very important still. The Western Heights College crew has come home very strongly, Stuart.
Yeah, they were sitting in 4th place through the 1,000 metres. We've already seen them a number of times this week with a very strong push, and you can see them now just starting to get away from Newcastle Grammar and Unley High. So out in front, it is going to be Norwood International High to take it through to the line. Nicholas Alulis and Oliver Evans Wood, they'll go through and qualify for the A final of the Schoolboys Double Scull. A fantastic row there. Second place does look to be Western Heights College. That's Tad and Xander Bailey. A strong finish from them, getting them ahead of Newcastle Grammar, Burton and Brown, ahead of Unley High's Lesu and Osborne. That's our 1, 2, 3 and 4 that'll qualify for the final of the Schoolboys Double Scull. In 5th place and going through to the B final will be the Northern Beaches Secondary, Julian Lemach and Florius Elias, with Cranbrooks, Christopher Blahos and Luke Martin in 6th place. And then over on the far side of the course, we have the Gippsland Grammar crew of Connor Howard and Jack Courtney, who will come through in 7th ahead of their schoolmates Himesh Rajapaksa and Stuart Ray in lane number 8.
Time 6:56.72. The margins 8.45 and 1.23. That's slightly slower than the previous semi-final, but they were under no pressure. As the under-17 schoolgirl Cox 8 comes into view, in lane 1, St Catherine's School from Victoria. Lane 2, Scotch College Adelaide. Lane 3, Loreto Toorak. Lane 4, Kinross Wallaroi. Lane 5, Melbourne Girls Grammar School. Lane 6, Pymble Ladies College from Sydney. Lane 7, Presbyterian Ladies College from Perth. And lane 8, Roseville College from Sydney. But as you suggested, Stuart, it is the Kinross Wallaroi crew that leads out.
Yeah, we've only ever seen one school win both the schoolboy and schoolgirl point scores at the Australian Rowing Championships. That was Radford College back in 2021 down at Lake Barrington. I'd suggest that Kinross are more than a good shout of matching that particular one. PLC Perth in 2nd place, Loreto Toorak in 3rd, Scotch College Adelaide in 4th, Melbourne Girls Grammar in 5th, Pymble Ladies in 6th, St Catherine's School Victoria in 7th and Roseville in 8th. 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th to go through to the A final, and certainly it does look like Kinross Wallaroi with that boat length lead over the top of PLC Perth, and then across to the Loreto Toorak crew in 3rd place, and then 4th, 5th and 6th certainly all with it to play for. But Kinross looking very good out in front. You can see them just extending out that lead over PLC Perth and Loreto Toorak.
They're rowing the Richard McIntosh, so obviously someone influential in the school rowing program, and they've got a handsome lead over the crew from Loreto Toorak and PLC Perth. Loreto Toorak, Minty Clements, Zara Bear, Zara Brakovic, Luca McComas, Grace Kennedy, Olivia Fay, Lucy Woods, Isla Quick, Josephine Grave, and the coaches Amelia Garley, and Pymble PLC Perth, Bridie Swingler, Arabella Dunn, Sana Burt, Amelia Corbett, Celia Rossa, Fenella Cox, Ruby Davis, Tara Swingler, Laura Gillum, the coxswain, and the coaches Rebecca Dunstan and Dave Milne. I happened to see Dave Milne when I was checking in the other morning, so big shout out to Dave. He'll be on one of those bicycles over there, which I reckon this could be the biggest peloton we've seen so far this week, Stuart.
And there's been some big pelotons, certainly matching the Tour Down Under, if not the Tour de France. Kinross with the lead. Rani Yarek, Isabel Grout, Molly Mason, Mari Willie, Grace Tancred, Ruby Leggio, Maddie O'Brien, Lucy Reedy and Jane Bruce as the coxswain. They've got nearly a 6-second lead over Loreto Toorak. PLC Perth in 3rd, Scotch College Adelaide in 4th. Melbourne Girls Grammar 0.23 of a second behind Scotch College Adelaide. So that's
where the interest is, isn't it? Yep,
and then I wouldn't count out the crew in lane number 1, St Catherine's College, either. They're starting to make a move, although half a boat length may just be a little bit too far over the closing stages of this race. You can see there the Kinross coxswain, Jane Bruce, absolutely exhorting her crews to get on home and to make sure that they take the semi-final win in the under-17 schoolgirls Cox States.
There's a group of schoolgirls over the far side. We're cheering for one crew. I'm not sure which one. It was about 300 metres from the finish line, a gathering of them there. But it is the Kinross Walleroy School that has a very commanding lead indeed over Loreto Toorak. And on this side, PLC Perth, and the fight for fourth is still on Scotch College Adelaide and Melbourne Girls Grammar School. Melbourne Girls Grammar School have a rich history in the schoolgirl Cox State, but at the moment they're no match for these first three crews in the under-17 schoolgirls 8 event.
So we've got Kinross Walleroy from Orange with the lead. It's a commanding lead. Loreto Toorak sitting nicely in second. PLC Perth in third. You can hear the cheers from the crowd as our crews come up towards the line. It is going to be another win for Kinross Walleroy. They'll go through to the final of the under-17 schoolgirls Cox 8s. Going through in second place, it will be the crew from Loreto Toorak, finishing just ahead of a fast finishing PLC Perth in third. And then who's going to get fourth? It's 5, it's 3, it's a photo. It's going to be a photo between lanes 5 and 2. So that's Melbourne Girls Grammar and Scotch College Adelaide. At the moment it says Scotch College Adelaide on the timing, but we'll just wait on that one. Now it's saying Melbourne Girls Grammar, so we'll wait for the official confirmation of results as to who's made it through to the A final. Certainly St Catherine's School Victoria in 6th place, Pymble Ladies in 7th, and the crew in lane 8, Roseville College in 8th place. But a strong win for Kinross Walleroy, 654.68. They'll be joined in the A final by Loreto Toorak and PLC Perth, and then we'll just wait on the confirmation as to our 4th place finishers.
PLC Perth very excited with their performance as semi-final 2 comes down the course, Stuart. In lane 1, Ballarat Grammar. Lane 2, Loreto Kirribilli from Sydney. Lane 3, Scotch Oakburn from Tasmania. Lane 4, MLC-Kew, Methodist Ladies College from Kew in Victoria. Seymour College from South Australia is in lane 5. St Catherine's School from Sydney in lane 6. Canberra Girls Grammar in lane 7, and Walford Anglican School from South Australia is in lane 8. I'd hazard a guess that the crew in station 1 may be our leaders.
Yeah, Ballarat Grammar, that's the crew of Cleo Tyndall, Lara Golan, Bess Morrison, Kate Johnson, Alice Booth, Lily Geddes, Briley Walker, Olivia Beachley, Alexis Timms is their coxswain, and they're coached by Robert Draffin and Martin Francis. And you can just see there the crew in lane number 4, MLC-Kew, Bella Bain, Emma Ward, Amaya Crawshay, Josh Kerr, Emily Tian, Chloe Bake, Zoe Jackal, Mattia Brown, Freya Kusnanda is the coxswain, and they're coached by Matt Wilson.
There's something going on there because they're not racing, are they?
No, I think they may have an equipment issue, which very unfortunate that they will get to go to the B final. But unfortunately, as you say, Ray, it doesn't look like they're racing there.
Come through the 1,000-metre mark. Unless they've established an amazing lead in the early stages, but they are completely in the wrong lane, of course. So, would suggest it is Ballarat Grammar that still leads. Cleo Tyndall, Lara Golan, Bess Morrison, Kate Johnson, Alice Booth, Lily Geddes, Briley Walker, Olivia Beachy, Alexis Timms, coaches Robert Draffin and Martin Francis, as you said.
St Catherine's School from New South Wales doing quite well there at the moment in lane number 6, so third from the left. That's Genevieve Links, Eva Hunstead, Holly Corcoran, Tia Lee Morgan, Imogen Baldassar, Matisse Borthwick, Freya Gaston, Florence Hennessy, Georgia Parks is the coxswain. They're coached by Jeff Patterson and Sophie Castellas.
They in lane 3, Scotch Oakburn are on the charge. Isabella Skirving, Georgia Vehorse, Emily Nags, Emily Atherton, Madison Marshall, Isabella Wilson, Shaylee Barron, Saffron Dick, Lily Clark's the coxswain, and the coaches Robert McDonald and Jamie Bredden. And it is lane 6, lane 3 and lane 1 where the pace is being set here. And then the other 3 crews there are also going strongly.
Yeah, lane 2, Loreto Kirribilli, Mary Dunstan, Elizabeth Roberts, Amelia Charlson, Millie Fallon, Maddie Wheelahan, Mabel Oxenham, Gemma Ronan, Sarah Holt, Lulu Warren is their coxswain.
Seymour College in lane 5.
Yeah, Harriet Foster, Ava Charlesworth, Adelaide Salu, Lucy Bell, Charlotte Guthrie, Matilda Brasher, Imogen Johnson, Lucy Pocock, Holly Gwynn is their cox, and they're coached by Georgia Roylett. And then Canberra Girls Grammar lane 7, not out of the running. Alice Hinksman, Lucy Cordaris, Meg Story, Charlotte Bowen, Mia Wiley, Elkie Spiller, Grace Disney, Sophie Murphy, Heidi Bell is the cox, and they're coached by Charlie Durkin and Lachlan Hurd.
But lane 1 still holding the lead. The crew, this is saying St Catherine's are holding the lead, but I thought it looked like Ballarat Grammar to me. But we'll
just got confirmation there, Ray, on the first semi-final. It was between Scotch College Adelaide and Melbourne Girls Grammar, and to qualify for the A final, by 0.03 of a second, Scotch College Adelaide have qualified for the A final of the under-17 schoolgirls Cox States.
So congratulations to them, Scotch College Adelaide. 0.03. A cracking race it was, but with the naked eye, it suggests to you that Ballarat Grammar are very much still in contention, along with Scotch Oakburn. And then on this side of the course, Canberra Girls Grammar a little bit behind the St Catherine School, then back to Seymour College and Walford Anglican and Loretto Kirribilli.
So Canberra Girls Grammar in the fourth and final qualification position. Our crews now through the last 250 metre mark. It's still Ballarat Grammar over in lane number 1, who have gone out hard early. They're holding that very nice lead at the moment. The crew in lane 3, Scotch Oakburn College from Tasmania, sitting in second. And then across to St Catherine's School, New South Wales, and Canberra Girls Grammar into the final 50 metres.
Yep, and the Ballarat Grammar crew took the lead in the early stages. The crew from Scotch Oakburn has been there most of the way, and over here on this side is the Canberra Girls Grammar and St Catherine's crew. So it will be Loretto as you were, Ballarat Grammar from Scotch Oakburn, 3rd St Catherine's, 4th Canberra Girls Grammar, 5th is Seymour College, 6th will be Loretto Kirribilli, 7th will be the crew from Walford, and the remaining crew, MLCQ, are rowing down the course, having apparently had some sort of a breakage, I would suggest, and will advance through to the B final by completing the course. The winning time 7:05.80. The margin 1.44 by 3.26. And I'll step out now, and Richard Dorstein Owen Nix and Richard Dorstein are stepping in.
You to Ray Abbott and Stuart John. Another interesting series of races there. We've had the 2 semis now of the under-17 schoolgirls Cox State, and we are on the course in the first repechage, the one and only repechage, in fact, of the under-17 schoolboys Cox State. Nudgee College from Brisbane racing in lane 1, Ballarat Grammar School lane 2, Scotch Adelaide in 3, St Ignatius in 4, Trinity Grammar School in 5, the Scots College from Sydney in lane 6, and Brisbane Grammar School are racing in lane 7. And looks like it's Trinity Grammar School from Kew narrowly in front after the first 1,000 metres, as we welcome back Owen Nix.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, 4 schools already qualified for the finals from the heats of this. We had King's School, Hutchins School, and also St Joseph's College and the Shaw School. So this will be the first of the Victorian schools to make it through. Trinity Grammar on screen in the race lead.
Worth noting, of course, Owen, Trinity Grammar not part of the APS program in Melbourne. That's why they're racing here and not at the head of the river at Ngambie Lake today, along with the 11 APS schools who's seen the heats already raced off the head of the river up there, and the final coming up just after 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, so on coming into view now is the St Ignatius bow number 4 there. That's the crew coached by Jackson Garrels and James Benson, and a great race going on for 3rd between Scotch College from Adelaide and South Australia and Nudgee over on the far side of the course, and Brisbane Grammar on the near side, giving a good account of themselves in lane at number 7. So the boats now making their way up towards the 1,350 metre mark in the green and gold colours of Trinity Grammar School Q that are looking very dominant in this one. Top 4 going through to the A final, and the rest will go through to the B final. And Trinity Grammar looking very, very good. You can see clear water that they have over the rest of the field, which is being led by St Ignatius College, and you'll start to see the lane number 7, Brisbane Joseph's Nudgee College in the blue boat over on the far side of the course. Scotch College next in 5th and still in with a shot, and the Scots College from Bellevue Hill in Sydney next in 6th, and then it's a long way back to Ballarat Grammar in 7th position. So who's got the sprint here to claim one of the top 4 spots and go through to what is usually an exciting and will be an enthralling final for this under-17 schoolboy 8s. These are some of the most exciting events on the regatta. Some very excited athletes there, sometimes in their first national championship final, and you never know what to expect in the under-17 school 8s. So as we get up towards 1,750 metres gone, and through that is Trinity Grammar, and it's Brisbane Grammar that have been very strong in the second half of this race. And St Ignatius now coming under fire from Scotch College Adelaide, and also St Joseph's Nudgee over on the far side of the course. So they're the top 5. It looks like Scots College from Sydney are going to be out of it now. The metres just keep ticking on by, and they haven't made enough of an impression in the last half of this one. So Trinity Grammar School still looking very, very strong. They're coached by Lachlan Goller, Jackson Harrison, Aisling Moten, and they're going to take out this repechage of the under-17 schoolboy 8s. And this great race that goes on, it looks like Scotch College Adelaide's could well be the ones to miss out. So Trinity Grammar first, second to Brisbane Grammar, St Ignatius College a third, St Joseph's Nudgee College in 4th, Scotch College Adelaide 5th, Scots College from Sydney in 6th position, and then back to Ballarat Grammar School in 7th. So 6:23, not too much slower than we saw the heats yesterday. I think they were 6:17 and 6:21. I think the King School 6:21, sure about 6:17. So still a pretty good going for an under-17 schoolboy 8.
Sets us up for a great final tomorrow. At the towards the end of tomorrow morning's finals, we'll have the final of the under-17 schoolboys Cox Day. The B final 2 will be raced for the crews there in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place, so they'll get another race tomorrow as well. But Trinity Grammar School from Q take out the one and only repechage of the under-17 schoolboys at Cox 8, race 463 of this regatta. Second repechage not required. We go straight on to race 465, which is the first of 2 repechages now in the club women's double scull, each racing for 2 spots through to the final. University of New South Wales racing in lane 2, Commercial Rowing Club of Brisbane in lane 3, the Australian National University lane 4, Adelaide Rowing Club in lane 5, who do look to be our comfortable race leaders here as well. Lane 6 is the West Australian Rowing Club, and a scratching also from the Glebe crew in lane 7.
So Adelaide Rowing Club doing very well in this one. Celia Cowan and Joyce Jollins, coached by Darren Potts and Ron Mobbs. Darren Potts recently taken a new position at Pulteney Grammar School Rowing. He's done a great job of building a lot of rowing programs in South Australia, and also with their state team, Masters state team as well. And a very successful coach with the experienced Ron Mobbs there. This crew, Celia Cowan and Joyce Jollins on screen, they didn't realise that the progression had changed from their heats, and they were expecting, I think, a top 4 to progress through. Finished in the top 4, but it was top 2 to go through. So the repechage being the second chance, and they're well and truly taking this second chance to progress. They're starting to move up through 1,400 metres ahead of ANU in a second spot, and then the University of New South Wales in third. That's the ANU crew in the white and 2 blues. In lane number 4, Eloise Lambden, Bonnie Andrews, coached by Nigel Harding, the Evergreen coach, who does a fantastic job at the Australian National University Boat Club on Lake Burley Griffin. So Adelaide first, through that 1500 metre mark ahead of the Australian National University Boat Club, and then the University of New South Wales. Samantha Backler and Helen Frith, both of these scullers, I think only in their third and first year, or second and first year of rowing. They're doing a very good job here, and in third spot, and they're ahead of Commercial in fourth, and West Australian Rowing Club are in fifth position, and the umpire has just tried to minimise the wash to the Western Australian crew and try to just give it to them for only one stroke, and is now zooming down lane number 6 to keep an eye on that race between first and second. So this Adelaide crew looking very comfortable with this top 2 progression, passing through that 1750 metre mark. They're at 28 strokes a minute, and tempo a touch higher in the ANU boat, about 5 points higher. So Adelaide looking very good here to make up for that reconnaissance error that they had prior to their heat row. So always shows you to keep an eye on the updated versions of things online in case they do change. So they'll make amends for that, progress through to the final of the Club Women's Double Scull. Repechage, number 1 of the Club Women's Double Scull. ANU set to join them in the final. University of New South Wales still working hard. They're in third spot. Commercial in fourth, and West Australian Rowing Club in fifth. But Adelaide have certainly hit the off switch, coasting home to take out the repechage. And TANU next in second spot, followed by UNSW, Commercial, and West Australian Rowing Club in fifth.
The last couple of crews come across the line. It will certainly be Adelaide and the Australian National University going through to the final of the Club Women's Double Scull tomorrow. Adelaide first, 7:44.24, 5.21 seconds ahead of the Australian National University, as University of New South Wales across in third. Commercial fourth, and fifth will go shortly to the crew from the West Australian Rowing Club as they come across to conclude race 465. The first of 2 repechages in the Club Women's Double Scull, second of which is well underway, and our drone is back down the course watching these 5 doubles approach. There's one scratching here from the lane 4 combination of Melbourne University. So 5 crews remain. Wendouree Ballarat racing in lane 2. Sydney University lane 3. Brisbane and GPS lane 5. Corio Bay lane 6. And Melbourne University in lane 7.
Brisbane and GPS with the race lead ahead of Sydney University Boat Club as they pass through that 1,000 metre mark, and a couple of boat lengths back to Corio Bay in third and Melbourne University in fourth. Wendouree Ballarat now just coming into view in lane number 2. They're in fifth position. So with the top 2 progressing, they've got a fair bit of work to do, 13 seconds behind fourth spot at the present moment. Brisbane GPS on screen, Kate Morris, Marnie Evans, coached by Alan Borgia, Catherine Borgia. Still working hard at the head of the field to ensure a safe qualification through to the final. 34 strokes a minute. Sydney University, young combination there. Cici Ortolani and Lottie Harton. They're on 32 strokes a minute. They're coached by Alan Bennett and Alfie Young. Corio Bay in third and Melbourne University in fourth.
Combination Owen from Brisbane and GPS were second in this event last year. They were the silver medalists over in Champion Lakes, Kate Morris and Marnie Evans. So looking to possibly improve on a second position finish there. They beat home last year also the Richmond combination of Pearce and Diebold, who are already through, I think, to the final of this race. So it'll be a great race between these 2 doubles potentially, and of course a field of 8 will be in the final of the Club Women's Double Scull.
Yeah, it's a good geographic spread, which is great to see in these club events as well, where you see clubs from right across the country fight it out for supremacy in these club events. So on screen, Cici Ortolani, Lottie Harton, Sydney University in lane number 3. started to just claw back some of that deficit in this third 500 metres. It was about 4.5 seconds at the halfway mark, and that's come down considerably in that third 500 metres. So it's nearly a third of that deficit. And more importantly, that gap of about 2 boat lengths has stretched even further now to Corio Bay in third, and they're looking more comfortable. Melbourne University are in fourth, and then that gap to Wendouree Ballarat is considerable. They look destined to be the 5th place finishers in this second and final repechage of the club women's double scull.
Crew from Brisbane and GPS also has been a bit of a magical mystery tour of the country for the past month or so. I saw them race at the Australian Henley Regatta on the Yarra River back in late February, and then according to Stuart John, who knows all things rowing ACT, they competed in a regatta on Lake Burley Griffin in early March as well. So it's been a busy few weeks tricking around the country finding some races to compete in.
Yeah, so they'll have a fair idea on what their competition is like. May not have to duck up to the commentary box and keep an eye on the events you're not in, as we saw Ben do yesterday, taking a keen interest in the club men's double scull semi-final, which he takes place in a couple of races' time.
Yes, we look forward to that. He was very keenly watching that repechage yesterday as the opposition came down the course, so we'll see if the intel has been worthwhile in a couple of races' time when the semis begin at the club men's double scull. We're about to conclude here in the second repechage of the club women's double scull, and still it is the combination from Brisbane and GPS who lead it from Sydney Uni.
Yes, they're looking like they're really trying to preserve this advantage. Up to 35 strokes a minute. Sydney University looking pretty long there in second spot. They're at 32 strokes a minute. And looks like Brisbane and GPS will continue to hold them off as we get into the last 50 metres. Brisbane and GPS will go through to the final of the club women's double scull and be joined by Sydney University, their first and second respectively in this second repechage. Corio Bay will place third, fellow Victorians Melbourne University will be fourth, and Wendouree Ballarat Rowing Club in fifth.
7:52.34 at this stage for Brisbane and GPS, about 8 seconds slower than repechage 1, but a 2.95 second margin of victory regardless over Sydney University, so both crews will go through to tomorrow's final in the club women's double scull. We do have now on the course the first of the 2 semis in the club men's double scull. As also we see our last place crew there from Wendouree Ballarat come across and conclude race 466. A slightly different progression in the club men's double scull, more entries there, so 2 semi-finals required and the top 4 from each will go through. There's been 1 scratching in semi-1 of Commercial Lane 6, but the field of 7 is therefore Sydney Lane 1, Swan River Lane 2, Mercantile in 3, Sydney Rowing Club again in Lane 4, UTS Haberfield in 5 and 7 either side of the empty lane, and University of New South Wales racing in Lane 8.
Yeah, so with the top 4 to proceed through to the final, we've got the top 3 on screen. UTS Haberfield, Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly in London. Flynn Wilkinson of Sydney Rowing Club, and Mercantile's Joshua Murphy and Jackson Morris. They're looking pretty measured there in lane number 3. And just looking very comfortable indeed. Just these 3 crews moving along ahead of Birchmore and Malozzi of UTS Haberfield in lane number 7. And we go across to the Sydney crew on the far side, Fletcher Smith, Maxim Maloney. Just over 1,400 metres gone. Looks like Sydney just starting to make a little bit of a push on the UTS Haberfield crew, and I think that was noted and responded to as they start to pass through the 1,500 metre mark. So they're the top 2 boats. And Mercantile looking very good indeed in this semi-final. That lead, all-important 4th spot, also held down by UTS over Sydney Rowing Club in 5th position. Swan River will be next in 6th, followed by the University of New South Wales, Black and Clements in 7th position. As this battle for the lead between UTS Haberfield and Sydney Rowing Club takes place, the Mercantile crew look very relaxed as they just roll forward, place the blades in, lock on, swing along, and they look at the moment like they're pretty happy to finish in third spot and conserve their energy for the final tomorrow morning. So through 1750 metre mark, the UTS crew just moved out to a little bit of an advantage over Sydney Rowing Club. Mercantile are in third, and then a good race going on for fourth, just so you can grab that last spot to qualify for the final. Birchmore and Malozzi of UTS in lane number 7, and then the Sydney crew on the far side, Smith and Maloney, are fighting it out. Just over 120 metres to go for the race leaders. UTS Haberfield, Lawson Banks and Edward Kelly, coached by Sam Fennessy and Alexandra Wenyon. And they've now moved out to about a boat length and may extend that a little bit more into some clear water by the time they cross the finish line. So UTS Haberfield going to take out semi-final number 1 of the club men's double scull, ahead of Sydney Rowing Club in second, Mercantile third. And it looks like the UTS crew of Birchmore and Malozzi have been too strong for Smith and Maloney of Sydney. They'll be 4th and 5th respectively. Swan River next in 6th, and University of New South Wales right on their hammer in 7th position.
7:01:38 there, the unofficial winning time for UTS Haberfield, who qualified 2 crews here from the first semi-final through to the final of the club men's double scull. Sydney Rowing Club in 2nd place on lane 4, Mercantile 3rd, and then that second UTS Haberfield combination, 2.65 seconds between first and 2nd place in that race as we go back down where semi-final 1 is passing the bridge, and based on the 500 metre splits, it was very tight in the opening exchanges here. A full field of 8 in the second semi of the club men's double scull. Griffith University Surfers Paradise lane 1, ANU lane 2, Banks lane 3, Sydney Uni lane 4, Wendouree Ballarat lane 5, North Est lane 6, who were the very narrow leaders after 500 metres, Newcastle Rowing Club in lane 7, and the West Australian Rowing Club racing in lane 8.
Yeah, so Banks have been very strong in this one. Lockie Rose and James Mead, coached by Brendan Scott, who's also coaching the St Kevin's First 8 today, that's racing at Nagambie.
Busy man.
His phone will be low on battery this afternoon, I am sure. So Banks lead. North Esk and Newcastle are in 3rd spot, followed by Sydney University, Page and Scott Brown. Wendouree Ballarat next in 5th, followed by ANU and Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, with West Australian Rowing Club in lane number 8 in position number 8. So a couple of crews dropping out of contention, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and West Australian Rowing Club, as Banks looking very, very good. James Mead, the Victorian State Champion in the single scull, and his boat is about a length ahead of a good battle between North Esk and Newcastle Rowing Club. So North Esk represented by Rowan Fenner, Dion Birtwistle, and coached by Trevor Barrett. Ben Homer, Remy Keats, the Newcastle crew in the tricolours in lane number 7, coached by Brad Smith.
And we well know that Newcastle double scull has not forgotten the semi-final stage last year, where they were narrowly knocked back into 4th spot into what was at that particular race just a 3-boat to qualify for the A final semi-final. So with only 6 lanes in use in the final of the Champions Lake course. There'll be 8 lanes here tomorrow, and the top 4 will go through. So Newcastle well placed here alongside North Esk, who did lead early on that North Esk combination, now dropping back to about 3rd place as Newcastle do make a good move in 2nd. But Lockie Rose and James Mead, as you said, Owen, he is the Victorian champion. He won an impressive selection of medals at the Victorian State Championship Regatta 2, in very good form in the single sculling boat is James Mead, also the winner of the Australian Henley Regatta a week or 2 before the state title. So in fine form and leading it here comfortably for Banks, ahead still of North Esk and Newcastle.
Yes, and Wendouree Ballarat and Sydney University have been pushing up here in the middle of the field of this one as they start to loom large for one of these top 4 qualification spots. And could North Esk, with the 43-year-old Dion Birtwistle on board, who was very good lightweight, and he's there now racing with his son at this regatta for North Esk. Not in this particular boat, he's here with Rowan Fenner, but they're in a bit of difficulty at the moment. There's crews all around them trying to clamour for these top 4 spots. Banks look pretty safe with 250 metres left to cover. And Newcastle in second spot. Wendouree Ballarat had that good third 500 metres. It's pushed them up into third spot and now challenging Newcastle for second. So North Esk now starting their sprint. Sydney University also starting theirs as well. They're the top 5. That's where the 4 qualifiers will come from. The ANU are in 6th position, and then Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and Western Australian Rowing Club are out of it in 7th and 8th position. So North Esk in a little bit of trouble here. They're in 5th position with Sydney University moving ahead of them. Banks untroubled at the head of the field. Wendouree Ballarat in 3rd. So the Tasmanians could miss out in this one. Banks Rowing Club in the pink colours in lane number 3 will take out the second semi-final of the club men's double scull from fellow Victorians Wendouree Ballarat. Newcastle Rowing Club 3rd, just ahead of Sydney University in 4th. North Esk in 5th. Ben Homer is slapping that much water about the lake could empty. They qualified for the final. North Esk were 5th, ANU 6th, and Griffith University Surfers Paradise 7th, and West Australian Rowing Club placing 8th.
Confirmation of the placings in the second semi-final of the club men's double scull. First place to the combination from Banks Rowing Club. Ignore what's up on screen there. It's definitely Banks first, Wendouree Ballarat second, Newcastle in 3rd, and Sydney University in 4th place. They are the qualifiers from semi-final number 2, and 6:48.15 currently showing as the unofficial winning time, which if that's the case, about 13 seconds faster than semi-final number 1. So a very good row there from the Banks combination of Lockie Rose and James Mead to take the win in semi-final 2. And we'll race again tomorrow for the medals in the club men's double scull, which promises on the form of that semi to be a pretty good race. After our women's and men's club double races, we move on now to another of the finals, and this is the Open Women's Quad Scull racing for the Margaret Mackenzie Cup. A field of 5 is getting ready there at the 2,000 metre held start. The race not set to commence until 12:30, so about 90 seconds away, in fact. Final of the Open Women's Quad. Here at Penrith, remember that Sydney offers something for everyone. Dynamic multicultural neighbourhoods, golden beaches and national parks, exciting and innovative dining and retail, continually evolving arts and cultural offerings, and an action-packed calendar of world-class events, including, of course, the Australian Rowing Championships, again here in 2024. Now, drone drivers getting quite adventurous, coming in at a almost water level landing towards the start. All is just about in readiness in preparation for the beginning of the race for the Margaret Mackenzie Cup. The 5 crews sit ready. It's a Sydney University combination in lane 2. Team Singapore in lane 3. ANU Mercantile Corio Bay lane 4, Sydney Uni, Sydney Melbourne Uni lane 5, and University of Queensland, UTS Haberfield and Sydney Uni racing in lane 6.
And it's no surprise to see the crews in lanes 5 and 6 blasting out. So lane 5, Tara Rigney is the Australian single sculler, Amanda Bateman and Harriet Hudson from the Australian double scull, Kate Rowan from the quad scull. Squad is stroking that boat, and the other 4 members of the Australian quad scull squad in lane number 6, Rhea Thompson, Rowena Meredith, Laura Goulet, Caitlin Cronin. So they have blasted out and they've already taken a length out of the rest of the field. Sydney University over in lane number 2 in third, with the the ANU Composite Crew in fourth, and Team Singapore in fifth position.
Saw some great racing yesterday from our NTC athletes. Particularly memorable was that fours race with the two halves of the Australian 8 splits, and raced against the Australian men's at Coxless 4 in a very tight race all the way down the course. And we're seeing similar here with the members of the Australian women's sculling squad, of course, to go to the Paris Games with some pretty high hopes. And it is great to see these two crews racing each other here, and certainly off to commanding starts, both of those NTC combinations on the right-hand side of the screen as they head up towards the 500-metre mark.
So through there, 1:33.92 for the Sydney Uni Composite Crew, with Sydney Rowing Club and Melbourne University ahead of the UQ UTS Sydney University crew in second spot, Sydney University in third, and a very good race going on between the ANU Mercantile Corio Bay crew of Foley, Morrison, Reiner and Khan, and Joan Po, Gianna Chang Lai Chang, Madeline Ng Chi Xuan and Kang Yu Jia from Team Singapore. So they're having a great race there in the two white boats in lanes 3 and 4, and only about a third of a length separating them. So some appetising racing here going on, with the Australian team representatives in lanes 5 and 6 really fighting it out. How fast will they go? There's a slight tail breeze assisting them for the first 90% of the course. Fastest anyone's ever gone here in open competition, 6:19, and that was 24 years ago, the Germans at the Olympics. So obviously trials results, not public data. So, but it's a great battle here, and you can see the UQ UTS Sydney University crew, Thompson, Meredith, Goulet, Cronin, started to claw back a little bit, and just sitting at around about 2/3 of a length down on the crew on screen. Tara Rigney in the bow seat, Amanda Bateman in the 2 seat, Harriet Hudson in 3, and Kate Rowan in the stroke seat. 3:08.88 through the halfway mark. So they are moving very fast indeed. You can see the gap back to the impressive Sydney University crew. Georgie Gleeson has been on the national team, Eleanor Price, likewise Georgia Miansaro as well, Emily Shepherd in there as well, an under-23 gold medalist, reigning gold medalist in the under-23 World Championships. So it's a highly credentialed crew, and they're in third spot. And the ANU Mercantile Corio Bay crew in fourth, ahead of Team Singapore in fifth position. So we'll see what the tactics are of these two quads in this third 500 metres. That gap sitting at about 3/4 of a boat length. The Kate Rowan stroke crew leading the crew on this side of the course, the Thompson, Meredith, Goulet, Cronin combination. As we start to make the way up through 1,350 metre mark. They seem to be matching one another as the crews make their way through 75% of the course. Well clear of Sydney University in third spot. So it seems whatever the crew on this side, University of Queensland, UTS Sydney University, do, the Sydney Melbourne University crew are responding with. So 4:44 through the 1,500 metre mark. So
3/4 of that leading crew already with gold medals from this regatta. Tara Rigney taking out the single scull final a couple of days ago, the Australian single sculler fittingly, and the double scull of Amanda Bateman and Harriet Hudson doing the same in the double scull event. And we'll soon find out whether they can make it 2 gold medals in the space of a couple of days here in the final stage of the race for the Open Women's Quad Scull.
So who will take out the inaugural race for the Margaret Mackenzie Cup? Margaret Mackenzie, life member of Rowing Australia, life member of Rowing New South Wales, and an absolute icon of the sport, and one of the sharpest brains I've ever encountered in the sport of rowing, Margaret Mackenzie. And It's a terrific honour for her to have a trophy named after her for one of the prime events at the regatta, the Open Women's Quad Scull. Seeing a good push coming from the crew in lane number 6, Rhea Thompson, Rowena Meredith, Laura Goulet, Caitlin Cronin. They're trying to challenge the Kate Rowan stroke crew in lane number 5. Can they get it down to half length and put them under a bit more pressure in the closing stages? Moment, the crew in lane number 5 looking the goods. And it looks as though they're able to match whatever is thrown at them. So only about 2/3 of a boat length separating these two National Training Centre Quad Sculls as they head up towards the finish line. Will they go quicker than the German Quad Scull did at the Sydney Olympics all those years ago? It'll be very close indeed. Half a length of margin in the end, so a great win. Tara Rigney, Amanda Bateman, Harriet Hudson and Kate Rowan, the national champions, inaugural winners of the Margaret McKenzie Cup. The Rhea Thompson, Rowena Meredith, Laura Goulet, Caitlin Cronin combination claiming the silver medal. Sydney University over on the far side of the course in lane number 2. They're going to claim the bronze medal, and Singapore have had some issues with 250 metres to go. They're able to get things moving once more, and that put paid to their great battle they were having with the ANU Mercantile Corio Bay crew that just crossed in 4th position. So Singapore will complete a 5-crew field in the Open Women's Quad Scull Championship of Australia.
It's 1887 at this stage, so just outside that time set as Owen reaches for the numbers to make sure, but it's certainly a very speedy time in any case by the Sydney Uni Composite crew in the battle of the Australian NTC boats. So Sydney Uni Composite in first place, University of Queensland Composite in second, 0.85 of a second between them. So the Margaret McKenzie Cup will go the way of Sydney Uni, Sydney and Melbourne University, who win the race for the Open Women's Quad Scull. Great to see our NTC athletes on the course there in the women's quad. And it's a similar story coming up now in the race for the Open Men's Coxed 8 as well. Field of 5, in fact the field of 4 will be for this race, with the scratching of the Cairn crew on lane 5. So an NTC crew in lane 2, which officially is entered as Mercantile Adelaide, Sydney University, Sydney and Melbourne University. Similarly on lane 3, it's Adelaide, Mercantile, UTS Haberfield, Melbourne Uni and Sydney Uni. Lane 4, River. And then lane 6. And in fact, largely Sydney Rowing Club and one rower from UTS Haberfield Composite. They're racing in lane 6. Still again a couple of minutes away from the start time of this race. I want to thank regatta sponsors, also Inglewood Coffee Roasters. Don't forget that to celebrate the partnership between Inglewood Coffee Roasters and Rowing Australia, Inglewood is giving away 1 year's supply of coffee to 5 lucky rowing fans. To enter, simply scan any of the Inglewood QR codes throughout the venue and submit your details. The winners, selected at random, will be announced on Monday, the 25th of March. Good luck in that competition. And the competition soon to be keen here on the course as well, with our 4 crews in the Open Men's Coxed 8 on their way. We saw a pretty quick quad scull race just before, and I suspect we'll do so again here as our Australian rowers, particularly there in lanes at 2 and 3. Right hand side of the screen, and the NTC boats will be the ones to watch in the early stages of this race.
The starter has an arm there, and they've hit ready and go, and we are underway in the Open Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. So in lane number 2 is the selected Australian men's 8, Ben Canham, Josh Hicks, Spencer Turren, Alex Purnell, Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Angus Dawson, Angus Whitticombe, Kendall Brody in the coxswain seat. And alongside of them in lane number 3 is the Adelaide Composite crew with Mercantile, UTS, Melbourne University and Sydney University, and that's includes the Australian men's pair and 4. So we've got Paddy Holt, Rowan Lavery, Jackson Kench, Simon Keenan, Jack Robertson, Tim Masters, Fergus Hamilton and Alex Hill. And I suggested a substitute coxswain in there because Kendall Brody's also listed as the coxswain of that boat as well. And a very talented crew in lane at number 4 as well. So some of the people that have been in the Australia A selected boat that are there in lane at number 4. Miles McQuillan, Riley Rees-Turner, Devlin Walsh, Felix Oliver, Hamish Wynne-Pope, Harry Fox, Fraser Miscamble, Charlie Petruni and Lucy Burnell coxing that boat. So that's the crew on screen there. You can see Harry Fox in the red hat there in the 6th seat of that boat. And that's the Australian men's 8 that is leading this one out of lane at number 2. They're coached by Mark Prater. It's 1:19 through the first 500 metres, so that is fast by anyone's standards, and great to see another boat sub 1:21 with the other NTC combination out of lane number 3 going very, very fast. Third is the Melbourne University Composite in lane 4 and the Sydney Composite. It's a combination with a lot of guys that have come from under 23s at Sydney Rowing Club. Toby Tegg, Declan Glendenning, Isaac Thurnham, and then you've got the experience of Galen Quinn, Luke Sharam. Tom Cregan's in there, the veteran, and they've got Nick Miro, Torin Olsen, and they're coxed by Nick Dunlop, the 2-time under 23 world champion in the women's cox 4, who coxes at the University of Washington. So Dunlop, very, very experienced. They're coached by Don Seck and Shane Mulvaney. Uh, 150 metres of the men's 8.
I was here that day on the far side of the course. I imagine you possibly were too, Owen, when the Olympic Regatta was on here at Penrith. And it was, yes, but for the very beginning of the race, it was the British who got out in front and just held on in a very, very close finish.
Yes, and through that 1,000-metre mark, 2:41.61 for the Australian men's 8. And the Adelaide Composite crew 2.5 seconds back in second spot. That was about where I was located, I think, at about the 1,000-metre mark. This place was absolutely jam-packed and fantastic to Australia A compared to TS in 4th. It's been great to see the progress of the Australian men's 8. There's been numerous 6th placings since that Sydney Olympics, and Mark Prater has done a fantastic job in turning the Australian men's 8 into real contenders at international level. There's been some fantastic men's 8s that have won the Olympic gold medal. You look at the New Zealand crew from the last Olympics, Great Britain, Germany, the Canadian crew in 2008, that American crew in 2004 that were rating 35 strokes a minute during the middle of the race and just blowing everyone apart. And of course that British crew in 2000. So it takes a quality crew to do that.
It's been shared around a bit too much, but it's great to see that declaration too, that this is the race that we do want to win, and the selectors have responded accordingly and put a great crew together, which we're seeing here on the water. And they go through 1,500 metres now, 2.23 seconds clear ahead of that crew that includes the Australian men's Cox 4. We saw again these athletes put a great race on yesterday in the Cox's 4s race, but here in the past now the 1,500 metre mark, it continues to be the Mercantile Composite crew lane 1 leading it from the Adelaide Composite crew as they race on to the final stage of the race. And look at the size of the peloton there on the side of the course as well, Owen, watching some of Australia's best rowers here on the course.
Yeah, so fantastic to see, and it's been a good push in that last half of the race from the crew in lane number 3. You can see them sneaking up here, and they'll be pretty glad. Paddy Holt there sitting right on Kendall Brody there and seeing if he can move up on Angus Whitcomb and then try and work his way up to where Jack Dawson is located and challenge them in this last 200 metres. The Australian 8 on the far side, Ben Canham in the bow seat, Josh Hicks in the 2 seat, and you can see the renowned broad-brimmed hat of Spencer Tarrant in the 3 seat. Alex Purnell in 4, Jack Hargraves in 5, in 6 Jack O'Brien, Angus Dawson in 7, Whitcomb in the 8 seat, Kendall Brody in the coxswain seat, and they continue to hold the crew in lane number 3, the Adelaide Composite crew at around about half a boat lengths, and that'll be enough to take out the Open Men's Cox State Championship of Australia. Very, very far. 16, but they had a significant tail breeze. Yeah, so certainly far different conditions here today. Melbourne University Composite claiming the bronze medal, and Sydney UTS will come up to the line and place fourth.
In the end, 1.17 seconds between those two crews. The lane 3 crew came home pretty strongly, made up some ground in the final quarter of the race, but it was a win to lane 2. The Mercantile Composite crew and the Australian men's 8 ahead of the Adelaide Composite crew in lane 3. Third will go to Melbourne University Composite, lane 4, and Sydney UTS Haberfield will finish in 4th place. 5:27.47 there, the unofficial winning time in the Open Men's Cox 8 Championship of Australia. And racing continues now after a couple of finals at the open level. We go back to some of the youngest competitors here at the Athlete with the semi-finals of the Schoolgirls Coxed Quadruple Scull. There are in fact 4 semi-finals here, Owen, on the program, but the semi-finals 3 and 4 are for spots in the C and D finals. So it's the first 2 races that count for qualification through to the A and B finals. So we'll stick with the 2 semi-finals for now as they make their way to the course. In semi-final number 1, Brisbane State High School Racing in lane 1, Melbourne Girls College lane 2, 2 crews from Kinross Wallaroi in lanes 3 and 4, Canberra Girls Grammar School lane 5, Cardinia International College in lane 6, Ballarat Grammar School lane 7, and Radford College from the ACT Racing in lane 8.
Yeah, so the 2 Kinross Wallaroi crews leading this one out. The crew in lane number 3, Wilkins, Sweetapple, Searle and Wong. And they're pretty evenly matched with their second crew, Mackay, Staniforth, Scammell, Luelf. And going with them is Canberra Girls Grammar School, who have shown a lot of speed earlier on this season. In the boat with the blue ends on it, they're the top 3, and it's the top 4 that will go through to the A final. Cardinia International College were 4th through that 500 metres, followed by Melbourne Girls College, Radford, Ballarat Grammar and Brisbane State High. So that's the field through the 500 metres, about 850 now covered, and the crew in lane number 3 has the field covered at the present moment. So Kinross Wallaroi School looking very good to put 2 boats into the final of the school. I think one year they had 3 crews in there in the Matt Wilson era. And so Kinross Wallaroi School leading from Canberra Girls Grammar, who've just managed to put their bow ahead of the second of the Kinross Wallaroi crews in lane number 4. And a very good race going on here. So got a further 4 crews right in the mix there, and then Ballarat Grammar are in 8th and final position and still not out of the hunt, with half the race still to cover. Kinross Wallaroi program was previously headed up by Adam Harrison, who's now moved into a Director of Sport position, and Ben Watt, former student at the school and coach there, has moved up into the Director of Rowing position. And Andrew Gannon has a strong involvement on the girls' side of the program. He's very experienced coach, Andrew Gannon. He coached St Ignatius to a drought-breaking win at the AAGPS Head of the River in 2018. And Andrew Gannon also helped coach Kinross Wallaroi to their first 2 wins of the first 8 at the New South Wales Schoolgirl Head of the River. So a very experienced coaching program at Kinross Wallaroi School as they lead the Canberra Girls Grammar School crew of Isabel King, Emily Walker, Samantha Burns, Eliza Lilly and Olivia Noonan Coxing, and they're coached by Caroline Pipers, who is their head of rowing. So at the moment, Radford College sitting in that all-important 4th spot on this side of the course. Zoe Hickey, Zara Turner, who we saw have cracking races earlier on in this regatta, Coco Gwenther, Amelie Brennan and Charles Kendall Cox and Maximilian Meyer, Megan Fritsch the coach or co-coach of that crew. So passing through 1,500 metres, Kinross Walleroy looking very strong, moved out to good clear water over Canberra Girls Grammar in the second, Kinross Walleroy School crew in third spot, and Radford in fourth. So will it be 2 New South Wales crews and 2 from the Australian Capital Territory that are the 4 qualifiers from this one. Brisbane State High over on the far side are in fifth, followed by Melbourne Girls College and Cardinia International College. And then in final place is Ballarat Grammar, who have probably a bit much to do to claim one of these top 4 spots, and they look like they may go through to the B final.
During the heat of this race too, the Cardinia International College rowing program unfortunately is no more at that school in Geelong. With this crew have rowed out of the Barwon Rowing Club all season, so they've been able to continue in the sport through to the conclusion of the season. Made the head of the schoolgirls A final last week, a race won by Gibson Grammar, who we'll see in the next heat. But looks like in this race, I think it'll be a bit too much for the crew from Cardinia.
Yeah, so they're in lane number 6. 3 out from the grandstand side of the course. So through 1,850 metres, Kinross Walleroy School out of lane number 3. Wilkins, Sweetapple, Searle and Wong, with Philippa Martin in the bow of the boat named after Alec Hoskin. Leading this one and leading comfortably, and they'll go through and lay down a pretty good marker here in this first semi-final of the Schoolgirl Cox Quad Scull. A very good finish coming from Brisbane State High over on the far side of the course, coached by Tom Riles, David Vandas and Tom Herborn. And they're seeing if they can challenge Radford for that all-important 4th spot. So Kinross first, second Canberra Girls Grammar School. Kinross will then qualify 2 crews through to the final of the Schoolgirl Cox Quad Scull. Their second boat claiming 3rd place. Radford College are just going to hold on ahead of Brisbane State High. So Radford 4th, Brisbane State High will go through to the B final with a lot of confidence in 6th position Melbourne Girls College.
First and 3rd place in the semi-final of the Schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull. Second place to Canberra Girls Grammar School. 3rd will go to Radford College. The winning crew from Kinross with one on lane 3. It is stroked by Tessa Wong. 7:19.31 was their unofficial winning time, and 3.91 seconds between 1st and 2nd place in race 471. As we go straight back to the second semi-final of the Schoolgirls at Cox Quad Scull. Askham Racing in lane 1. Lewards Hill in 2. Wrighton Girls lane 3. Trinity Lutheran College lane 4. All Hallows in 5. Gippsland Grammar School from Sale and Eastern Victoria racing in lane 6. Albert Park College.
And it's been a great first half of the race by All Hallows in lane number 5, and Trinity Lutheran matching it with them, and they're followed through by Lewards Hill in 3rd spot. Wrighton are in 4th, and Gippsland Grammar from Sale and Eastern Victoria in 5th position through that halfway mark. See the All Hallows crew sitting right on top of their work there in lane number 5. Very bright zoot suits, and they're looking
loving the colours there on screen. The 2 Queensland crews, the pink splashes now on All Hallows, and the bright green of Trinity Lutheran from the Gold Coast as well.
They're standing out with their colours and standing out in the middle of this field from the rest of the field. They're well clear. They have clear water, and a great battle between Lewards Hill, Wrighton Girls, Gippsland Grammar and Albert Park College, who are trying to claim those other 2 spots to progress through to the A final. Trinity Lutheran in the race lead. These 2 crews looking very long, very connected. All Hallows. It's a school right in the centre of Brisbane, isn't it, Richard?
Yeah, very much
near
so.
Fortitude Valley sort of area, isn't it?
Right alongside the Story Bridge on very nice piece of real estate, as schools, and in fact Catholic schools possibly in particular, often seem to be. So, yeah, very close to the last year All Hallows taking out their first Heather River win in 23 years the crew coached by Richard Powell, and had a very successful state championship regatta as well. So it's been a good period for the All Hallows combinations.
And they're looking comfortable in second spot. They're rating less than 30 strokes a minute, going up to the 1,500 metre mark in a semi-final. So you'd have to think they've got a few more gears left tomorrow. And at the moment, Trinity Lutheran leading them. Wrighton in third, Gippsland Grammar from Sale and Eastern Victoria are fourth. And they're followed by Lewards Hill, and they're in a good battle with Askham and Albert Park College and Canberra Girls Grammar. They've got a bit of work to do if they're to try and do what Kinross have done and qualify 2 crews for the final of this schoolgirl Coxed Quad Scull.
Those 2 Victorian crews there, third and fourth, were first and second in the head of the schoolgirls last week, with Gippsland Grammar School that day beating Wrighton Girls. Wrighton, of course, so dominant in the event over many years, but it was Gippsland Grammar School winning their first title in 14 years. But they sit here probably just fourth, so likely to qualify from there, but just behind the crew from Wrighton, who they beat home last weekend.
So leading Trinity Lutheran, 33 strokes a minute, and it looks like All Hallows have now. And in the live stream era, you can't fox like that anymore.
No,
and,
it's all, that's right, nowhere to hide.
Capture everything that we can see. So I think the other crews will watch this later tonight and see that All Hallows crew has a lot of boat speed. So who will grab the top 4 spots? Trinity Lutheran looking the goods in the green colours on screen in lane number 4. 120 metres for them still to cover to book their spot in the A final. And Wrighton Girls having a good second half of the race. They're in third spot. Gippsland Grammar are in fourth. Askham over on the far side, lifting their rate of striking as they challenge Albert Park College. And also the others for trying to grab one of those top 4 spots, but it will be Trinity Lutheran first, All Hallows in second spot, and Wrighton Girls will be third, Gippsland Grammar. They're the top 4 that will go through to the A final. The B final will await the crew from Albert Park College. They finished 5th, just ahead of Askham in 6th, and very close for 7th and 8th between Lewards Hill and Canberra Girls Grammar, and they'll do battle once again in tomorrow's B final.
Presentation of medals for the Open Men's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. Medals will be presented by Renee Collins, who has lent Rowing Australia the Louis Petrin Memorial on display at this regatta. In third place and bronze medalists, representing the Melbourne University, UTS Haberfield, Sydney Uni and Swan River Rowing Clubs, the crew of Miles Riley Reese-Turner, Devlin Walsh, Torben Ungermark, Hamish Wynne Pope, Harry Fox, Fraser Miscampbell, Charlie Petruni, and Lucy Burnell, who is coached by Mark Beer and James Rook. Second place and silver medalists, composite crew from the Adelaide, Mercantile, Melbourne University, Sydney University and UTS Haberfield rowing clubs. consisting of Paddy Holt, Tim Masters, Jackson Kench, Rowan Lavery, Jack Robertson, Simon Keenan, Fergus Hamilton, Alex Hill, and Anna O'Hanlon. Composite crew from the Mercantile, Adelaide, Sydney University, Sydney and Melbourne University rowing clubs. Benjamin Cannon, Joshua Hicks, Spencer Turren, Alex Purnell, Jack Hargraves, Jack O'Brien, Angus Dawson, Angus Widdicombe, and Kendall Brody. Please congratulate the 2024 Australian champions and medalists in the Open Men's Coxed 8. Behind them, we see semi-final 3 of the Schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull, concluding Loretto Furbank Grammar, in fact, in the yellow colours there. It looks like out in lane 2, probably the race leaders narrowly from on this side of the course. The crew from Corowa Anglican Girls School and Strathcona from Melbourne next, and then with a couple of crews in this race. And it's going to be Furbank Grammar School lane 2 who come across for the win there. Sophie Nichols, Georgia Rao, Olivia McLean, Piper Hallam and Amy Summers for Furbank. Corowa did indeed finish second on lane 6. Third place will go to Strathcona, the crew on lane 5, and fourth place also to the Strathcona crew. So that'll be the top 4 to go through to the C final of the Schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull, and then 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places will race in the D final tomorrow of that event. Which is the 4th semi-final of the school in the C and D final. Roseville College in lane 1, Rockhampton Grammar School in 2, Strathcona in 3, Wrighton Girls lane 4, Melbourne Girls Grammar School lane 5, Redlands lane 6, and the Armadale School racing in lane 7 as they are heading up towards the halfway mark, Owen, of semi-final number 4.
Yeah, so Melbourne Girls Grammar School that lead from Wrighton Girls, and then Rockhampton Grammar are in 3rd, in a very engrossing battle for 4th between Roseville, Strathcona and Redlands, and Armadale School the next in 7th position. That's how they move through that 1,000-metre mark. Melbourne Girls Grammar School, Sophie Davies, Lucy Munro, Emma Kafaki, Zoe Paul and Louis Massini, the coxswain of that boat. So once again, these semi-finals 3 and 4 have a different progression. Top 4 going through to the C final and the remainders going through to the D final.
Presentation of medals for the Open Women's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. The medals will be presented by Lorraine Riddell, who had lent Rowing Australia the Louis Petrin Memorial on display at this regatta. In second place, and silver medalists, composite crew from the University of Queensland, UTS Haberfield and Sydney University. Ria Thompson from the University of Queensland Boat Club. Laura Goulet from UTS Haberfield. And Caitlin Cronin from the University of Queensland Boat Club. The gold medalists and Australian champion composite crew from Sydney University, Sydney Rowing Club and Melbourne University. Tara Rigney from the Sydney University Boat Club. Harriet Hudson from Sydney Rowing Club. Amanda Bateman from the Melbourne University Boat Club. And Kate Rowan from the Sydney University Boat Club. The Margaret Mackenzie Trophy will now be presented by Lorraine Riddell. Please congratulate the 2024 Australian champions and medalists in the Open Women's Quad Scull. Behind our presentation, we have the concluding stages now in semi-final 4 of the schoolgirls at Cox Quad Scull. And it is the Lane 5 crew, Melbourne Girls Grammar School, pretty comfortably in front from the Wrighton Girls at combination. So Melbourne Girls Grammar School about 2 lengths. Sophie Davies, Lucy Munro, Emma Kafiki, Zoe Paul and Lily Machini will be across shortly to take the win. They'll move through to the C final of the schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull. Wrighton Girls in second place. That's Matilda Pilkington, Honey Garcia, Pepper White, Ruby Draper and Olivia Michelini ahead of Strathcona, who look like they'll narrowly take out third spot there on lane 3 ahead of the Redlands combination. Lane 6 of those 4 crews through to the C final, and the next 3 will go to the D final. Roseville finished 5th, 6th will go to Rockhampton Grammar School, and 7th place is the crew from the Armidale School in the 4th of the semi-finals. The schoolgirls Cox Quad for places in the C and D final. 7:46.49 there, the unofficial winning time for the crew from Melbourne Girls Grammar School. A handy margin of 7.84 seconds between first and second place. As we go back down the course to the A and B, or the 1 and 2 semis for the schoolboys Cox Quad Scull, that will decide the places in the A and B finals tomorrow. And a field of 8 here, well and truly on their way through halfway, in fact. You can see there on screen that Kinross Walleroy, the race leaders. The full field is Radford College in lane 1, Launceston Grammar School in 2, Marist College of the ACT in lane 3, Trinity Grammar School from Kew in lane 4, Kinross Walleroy lane 5, Ballarat Grammar School in 6, Ballarat Clarendon in lane 7, and the Pembroke School in lane 8.
So it's Kinross Walleroy School that have got a little bit of clear water to Marist College Canberra in second position, and Ballarat Grammar currently sitting in third spot. That's Kinross Walleroy School on screen, the boat named after Andrew Gannon, who we mentioned before has done a very good job with their women's crews at the school. It is based in Orange in New South Wales Central West. Angus Peterson is the coxswain that's throwing his hands exuberantly around in the bow of that boat. Marist College Canberra, you can see at the top of the screen, in second spot, and Ballarat Grammar School in third. That all-important 4th spot being held currently by Trinity Grammar School. So they're the top 4, and then it's a boat length back to Radford College in 5th. 6th is Ballarat Clarendon College, Launceston Grammar, and a good tussle with Pembroke School for 7th. So they're making their way up towards the 1,500 metre mark, and it's the blue SL boat of Kinross Walleroy School that is enjoying a good clear water margin over Marist College Canberra and Ballarat Grammar in third. So their qualification looking relatively assured for those top 3. Trinity Grammar are in 4th and have a pretty sizable margin, just over 4 seconds back to Radford College, followed by Ballarat, Clarendon, Pembroke and Launceston Grammar.
Both these Ballarat crews too, as is their custom, spent most of the season racing in Cox 4s. We've seen some of the Ballarat schools here racing in 8s as well, and now going into quad sculls. It's an open Division 1 crew there from Ballarat Grammar School that's in the top 3, and also a Year 10 crew from Ballarat Clarendon who races their Year 10 Division 1 Cox 4 for most of this season.
A good experience for them, and they may have a couple of more years in this, or they may switch to the 4s as they move through the ranks. So exciting to see, and it's great to see the strength and depth of rowing coming out of Ballarat, a traditional heartland of the sport. Continuing to lead, and leading from Marist College, Canberra. Ballarat Grammar in 3rd spot. These 3 crews looking the goods. Ballarat Grammar just starting to lift their stroke rate in the finish and try and challenge Marist for that 2nd spot. They're putting plenty on it. They got the rating right up now. It's hitting about 36 strokes a minute for the Ballarat Grammar School crew in lane number 6. So qualification looks assured. Kinross Walleroy School as the semi-final winners of the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull. Marist College, Canberra placing 2nd. Ballarat Grammar 3rd. And it will be another Victorian crew. Trinity Grammar from Kew in Melbourne that will claim that 4th qualification spot. Radford over on the far side are in 5th position ahead of Ballarat Clarendon College, and then it goes to Launceston Grammar in 7th and Pembroke School from Adelaide in South Australia placing 8th.
Kinross Walleroy stopped the clock. 48, the winning time there, and it was a handy margin of victory, 4.76 seconds over Marist College from the ACT. Also qualifying for the A final, we have Ballarat Grammar School lane 6 and Trinity Grammar School in lane 4 in the first of 2 semis of the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. We go back down the course where semi-final 2 is coming towards us. Again, a field of 8 here. The Southport School racing in lane 1. Redlands from Sydney in lane 2. The King's School in 3. Kinross Walleroy again with another crew in the centre lane here in lane 4. Radford College from the ACT lane 5. Shaw School in 6. Melbourne High in 7. And Gippsland Grammar School from Sale in Eastern Victoria racing in lane 8.
Melbourne High School faring very well, 2nd out from the grandstand side of the course. So they've just passed the, you can see the crews coming out onto the course to go down to the start. That's at the bridge at the 750 metre mark. So they're making their way up towards the 1,000 metre mark. Melbourne High School, James Lau, Sam Eberbach, Oscar Eberbach and Joshua Kang. Arian Dioli is the coxswain in that boat. And having a really good battle with the Radford College crew in lane number 5. Kinross Walleroy well placed there in lane 4. They're in 3rd position. So a good race going on here. Redlands in 4th. They've had a good regatta. A couple of bronze medals in the under-17 sculling events on the boys' side of things. So in this second half of the race, it's been a good push around the halfway mark for Radford College. Connor Maloof, Angus Scott, Hamish Gaydon, Hamish McKee, Izzy Farris, the coxswain, Mackenzie Moore, Will Hatcher and Gordon Marks, the coaches of the Radford crew. They're in lane number 5. Based in Canberra, around about Bruce where the AIS is. And they've got a good little advantage over 2nd spot, but more importantly over 5th spot as the top 4 go through to the A final. So Radford looking good to qualify here in the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull.
Great to see a Melbourne High crew performing well at this level too in the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. Another of the non-APS schools from Melbourne, so not competing in the head of the river today, but good week at the National Championships. Generally they're known for sort of sculling and smaller boats, but a school with the final of the school from Radford College. It was 0.1 of a second between those two at the halfway mark. It's now out to almost 1.5 seconds. So Radford have extended a bit, but Melbourne High still comfortably 2nd. Kinross Walleroy in 3rd place. He looked certain now you'd think to get 2 crews through, I should say, to the final of this race. And then narrowly behind them in 4th place, it was Shaw, Gippsland Grammar and also Redlands.
College Canberra qualify for the finals. Looks like ACT will be boating 2 crews in tomorrow's final of the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull as Radford continue to lead coming up towards the 1750 metre mark from Melbourne High School. Kinross Wallaroi, as they've done in the girls Cox Quad Scull, they look like they're going to have 2 crews in the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. They're in 3rd spot. Kings are in 4th. That's Charles Whalen, Lachlan Jones, Lockie Tyndall, Jackson Thomas, Hugh Miller coxing. Harrison Randall in one of his last coaching gigs at the King's School before he moves across to Pymble Ladies College in the off-season. And he's there with Digby Lay, a former student at the school who's now the boatman at the King's Boat Shed at Putney in northern Sydney. So they're the top 4, and they've got a bit of a gap then back to Gippsland Grammar, Shaw School and Redlands, and then an even bigger gap back to the Southport School, who look destined for the B final. So heading up towards the line, Radford College going to take out semi-final number 2 of the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull. Very strong in the second half of the race. Melbourne Grammar took it out early and will hold on for 2nd spot. And they're very excited making it through to the final in a very good lane. Kinross Wallaroi 3rd, Kings 4th, Gippsland Grammar 5th, Redlands 6th, Shaw will be 7th. And then the Southport School from the Gold Coast in Queensland will finish in 8th.
So Radford College go through, take the centre lane in the final of the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. They win their semi-final there. The combination from the ACT by 3.34 seconds over Melbourne High in 2nd place, Kinross Wallaroi 3rd, and the King's School in 4th. 6:43.55 the time at this stage from semi-final number 2. Yeah, 3 seconds slower than semi-final 1, and the Southport School across now in 8th spot to complete that race. So from our 2 semi-finals to decide our A and B finalists, we now have 2 semis also to decide our C and D finalists in the Schoolboys Cox Quad. The semi-3 on the course now. Prince Alfred College are racing in lane 2, Rockhampton Grammar School in 3, and South matching in lane 6, and Unley High racing in lane 7.
There's the crew from Rockhampton Grammar: Jackson, Taylor, Henry Lau, Lachlan Yench, Ryan Hendry, and Oliver Whaling Kane, Cox and Kimberly Brown and Rob Fay coaching that crew. See the top 4 in this one have moved out, and Unley High is the crew that has dropped back in this. So the top 4 going through to the C final, and the D final awaits the 5th place finisher, and at the moment that's looking like Unley High as these boats just start to move up through the 1,000 metre mark. So Rockhampton Grammar narrowly over Prince Alfred College. The Southport School are in 3rd spot, just 0.19 back, and then 0.90 to Trinity Lutheran College, and Unley High back a little bit further, a further 8 or so seconds back in 5th position. So they've got very much the work to do.
4 crews of these 5 will go through to the C final race. The top 4 will all qualify for that race, and then the 5th place crew only at this stage will go into the D final. Second semi-final features 6 crews, so there'll be likely a 3-boat D final between the bottom 2 from the next race and the 5th place crew in this event, which looks likely to be only high at this stage because the 4 crews on the other side of that vacant lane with the umpire's boat right in behind them are moving well through the 3rd 500 of the race with lane 3 there, Rockhampton Grammar School. Train on the Fitzroy River up in Rockhampton in central Queensland, and they do maintain that lead in this race over the crews either side of them from Prince Alfred College and the Southport School, and probably the PAC crew, in fact, from South Australia, moving up to maybe now just assume the race lead as well.
Yeah, there's been some good pushes in this 3rd 500 metres from Prince Alfred College. As Richard pointed out, has put their bow in front and going with them. The Southport School in their traditional Dayglow caps. And in 3rd spot, Rockhampton Grammar. And Rockhampton Grammar have a pretty handy advantage. It's getting towards the best part of a boat length to the 4th place crew from Trinity Lutheran College. And that's now being confirmed as they pass through that 1,500 metre mark. So just a little bit of clear water from the stern of Rockhampton Grammar to the bow of Trinity Lutheran. see if Trinity Lutheran are able to put some pressure on their fellow Queensland school and challenge them in this last quarter of the race. Unley High School, they look destined for 5th position and a D final tomorrow. So Prince Alfred College in the boat, the Andrew Randell, who's now the head coach women for British rowing, moved across there after the last Olympics and was previously at Prince Alfred College. This Prince's crew very strong in the back half of this race. So leading from Southport in this last 200 metres. Rockhampton Grammar look like they may well have been able to respond to everything so far that Trinity Lutheran have thrown at them. So top 3 looking comfortable. Trinity Lutheran comfortable because it's top 4 going through to the C final out of this semi-final number 3. So Prince Alfred College just with another 4 strokes to go, and they will cross the line and take out semi-final number 3 of the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull over Southport School, Rockhampton Grammar 3rd, Trinity Lutheran 4th. They're your C finalists for tomorrow, and Unley High will go through to the D final as the 5th place crew in semi-final 3 of this Schoolboy Cox Quad.
0.80 of a second between them at the end there, so Prince Alfred College pushing through strongly in the second half of the race to secure the win there, and they'll have the centre lane for the C final tomorrow in the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. So Prince Alfred College first, the Southport School second, ahead of Rockhampton Grammar School and Trinity Lutheran, all through to the C final of the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. 6:57.14, the unofficial winning time at this stage. So the 4th and final semi-final of the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. Again, for places in the C and D final. We do have a full field of 6 here as per the program, so 4 will go to the C final and 5th and 6th place will race in the D final tomorrow. Lane 2, Newcastle Grammar. Lane 3, Cranbrook. Lane 4, Mouse College from Bundaberg. Lane 5 is Melbourne High. Lane 6, Marist College. And Lane 7, the crew from Cranbrook.
And there's Cranbrook in lane number 7 that lead, and they lead from Emmaus College, Queensland in 2nd spot. And a very good race going on here. So top 4 to the C final, rest to the D final. Through that halfway mark, Cranbrook continue to lead. Crew coached by the vastly experienced Adrian Henning. And 2nd spot, Emmaus College. And then they're followed by Melbourne High School. And then you could throw a blanket over Marist College, Canberra, the 2nd of the Cranbrook crews, and Newcastle Grammar over on the far side of the course. Very close between those crews. This third 500, I think, will prove to be decisive here to see who progresses through to the C final, where you can try and rank in 17th to 24th in this Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull. Newcastle Grammar having a good push in this third 500 metres. Edward Baker, Mitchell Chung, Lucas Burton, Ronan Brown and Michael Thomas, the coxswain, and coached by Brad Smith, who leads the program at Newcastle Grammar. They're based out of Lake Macquarie Rowing Club on Lake Macquarie itself at Booragul. School that has won this event in the past. That is Cranbrook on screen. Edward Williams, Toby Lane, Edward Hartwright, Charles Mann and Tom Gloucester, the coxswain.
The traditional Cranbrook blades, Owen. Looks like a upside-down French flag.
Yes, no, that's the Cranbrook blades. Have changed their zooty in the last few years, and Cranbrook School with those bright hats. They have a couple of boat sheds, one at Rose Bay, which is on Sydney Harbour, and they have coastal rowing boats there as well, and they also are based out of the St George Rowing Club at Walleye Creek, which is you sort of see at the airport as you fly in or out of Sydney Airport. So that's where the Cranbrook program is based.
Close to the Askham shed in that.
Yeah,
So
they
yes.
use the same same shed there. So that's Cranbrook in lane at number 7 leading. And
I've seen some great photos of, I think, from Chris McCarthy, who's the early morning coaching there in the Askham Shed. I get quite distracted by the sight of planes coming in and out as you were trying to watch the boats at the same time.
yeah, it's a beautiful waterway when you go upstream from Walleye Creek. It doesn't get used much for much traffic at all, actually. It gets quite quiet. I think you have to be careful on your tides, but make sure you don't do it at too low a tide.
Don't get stuck up there.
Yeah, that's right. You need to be able to get home. So it looks like the top 4 are sorting themselves out in this one, and 5th and 6th aren't that far back, but it looks to be far enough to see who the 4 crews going through to the C final. Cranbrook, Melbourne High School, Emmaus College Queensland and Newcastle Grammar, and then back to the second of the Cranbrook crews and Marist College Canberra. That's how they sit. The metres are rolling on by, just over 100 metres to go for the leading boat out of lane number 7. Crews wanting to make sure of their qualification into the C final for the top 4. So Cranbrook still with a race lead, putting in the big ones. And just 25 metres left to cover. And they will take out semi-final 4 of the Schoolboy Cox Quad Scull. Melbourne High 2nd, Emmaus College 3rd, Newcastle Grammar 4th. They're your C finalists, and a D final awaits Cranbrook out of lane 3 and Marist College Canberra.
Just under 7 minutes there. 6:59.35 the time there for semi-final number 4. College from Bundaberg 3rd and Newcastle Grammar School in 4th place, about 2 seconds slower than semi-3. And as you'd expect, around about 15 to about 20 seconds, in fact, slower than the first 2 semi-finals from where our A and B finalists emerged. So the rankings holding true to form across those races in the Schoolboys Cox Quad Scull. We'll see those semi-finals, those finals that is, on the course tomorrow. The DC and B finals early in the day, and the A finals we head towards lunchtime with our school and club finals tomorrow preceding the interstate regatta. We now have the repechage in the Schoolgirls Cox State, the first of 2, as we'll sort out the last 4 finalists in this event, sponsored by Bolle. It is Scotch Oakburn from Launceston racing in lane 2, St Catherine's School of Melbourne racing in lane 3, Canberra Grammar School in 4, Furbank Grammar in 5, St Michael's Collegiate in 6, and PLC Perth in 7. Far today, but it's a pretty tight race on the course between the crews there in the centre lanes, Furbank Grammar, Canberra Grammar, and also St Catherine's of Melbourne.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the St Michael's Collegiate have started in this one, so hopefully they're not still down there holding the trays.
So, but yeah, hopefully haven't missed their race.
Canberra Grammar School in lane number 4, Furbank Grammar in lane number 5. And top 2 going through to the A final, and we've seen the crews that have qualified so far. Loretto Toorak, Pymble Ladies College, St Catherine's, New South. Crews already through here. Quality crews in this first repechage at the Schoolgirl Cox State, sponsored by Bolle. So they're the top 2 crews, and they're just starting to get a bit of a boat lengths advantage over St Catherine's School, crew coached by John Saunders. They've been perennial finalists in this one, and that streak could well be coming to a close here. So St Catherine's out of Melbourne, they're in 3rd spot.
Girls last week as well, so looking to make amends here, but some work to do certainly for that crew from St Catherine's. Furbank Grammar, probably the big improvers. The head of the school. Champions Melbourne Girls Grammar School.
Yeah, so they have a bit of work to do, this St Catherine's boat in 3rd spot. You can just see them come into view just then, and you can see the big gaps now between 3rd and 4th. So Furbank in the lead in the boat 1, Who Conquers, and at the moment they're in the position to do that. A very inspiring name. It looks like the side of a school bus. The name of the Furbank Grammar School boat that leads this repechage of the Schoolgirl 8. Scotch Oakburn are in 4th position, and PLC Perth, who have had the most vocal supporters at the regatta so far, they're in 5th position. So top 2 to the A final, rest through to the B final. Continue to lead and just continue to just pick up a seat every now and then on the Canberra Grammar School crew that were very strong out of the blocks. So can St Catherine's pull out one of their renowned finishes here in this one, or have Canberra Girls Grammar School done the work early and able to hold them off? Canberra Grammar there in lane at number 4. Something like Grammar still with the advantage. And just 130 metres left to go for the Victorian school. It'll be the 3rd Victorian school to go through to the final of the Schoolgirl 8. With Loretto Taraka Melbourne Girls Grammar already through. And we'll have Canberra Grammar School set to join them. So Furbank first, Canberra Grammar School second in the repechage of the Schoolgirl 8s. 2 qualifiers for the A final. St Catherine's going through to the B final, placing 3rd. Scotch Oakburn 4th, and PLC Perth will be 5th.
It is a Furbank Grammar School there in first place, 6:57.61 their time for the race, and they win it by 2.71 seconds, so pretty much almost a length ahead of Canberra Grammar School in second. Both will go through to the A final tomorrow in the race for the Sydney Cup. St Catherine's of Melbourne are 3rd, Scotch Oakburn from Launceston 4th, and PLC Perth in 5th position in race 479, the first repechage of the Schoolgirls Coxed 8, sponsored by Bolle, as is repechage 2, which is on the course now. And another crew here from St Catherine's of Melbourne, which is a Division 2 crew there racing in lane 2. MLCQ in lane 3, Seymour College lane 4, Loretto Kirribilli in 5, PLC Perth in lane 6, and Shelford Girls Grammar School racing in lane 7.
It's just the 5 crews there, so it looks like St Catherine's Victoria not starting in this one, and MLCQ have taken the race out well, but Seymour College are leading, and no surprise there from if you've been here all week. They went 6:36 in the under-19 8s, which is very, very fast for a Schoolgirl 8. And you can see them just starting to move out into the lead. Their boat is named the Blackwatch, which is a form of Scottish tartan, which is the tartan is in fact shown on the canvas of the boat. If you see it, we may well get to see it in the medal presentation, perhaps. But to get to the medals, you've got to get through to the final, and top 2 through to the final from this second repechage, sponsored by Bolle. So you can just get a glimpse of that tartan colour on the canvas of the boat in lane 4 as it passes through the halfway. 3:23 for Seymour College ahead of MLCQ, and they're followed by Loretto Kirribilli in 3rd spot, PLC Perth in 4th, and Shelford Girls Grammar will be next.
4 different states there position. In the top 4 spots as well. It's to see the spread from right across Australia. The crews leading out in this race. The South Australians in front there from Seymour College. MLCQ in 2nd spot, who did finish 4th in the head of the Schoolgirls final last week. So this stage looks like all 4 of those crews might make the A final here, the 8-boat A final, with the Schoolgirls 8 certainly been dominated by Victorian crews in recent years, but you'd have to think now St Catherine's and Sydney would be the hot favourites after their heat yesterday and win today in the under-19 8. And this Seymour College crew also from South Australia, they will be a strong contender too come the final tomorrow of this race.
Yeah, we saw Walford Anglican School win the Schoolgirl 8s for the Sydney Cup. It's been nearly 10 years ago now. It'll be about 2014 or 15 or somewhere around then. I think Walford won the Schoolgirl 8s. Was. And yeah, so it's great to see strong schoolgirl rowing out of South Australia. This Seymour College crew continuing to lead this second repechage. Gra was the coach, I think, of the Walford crew when they did win the national championship. He's coaching the MLC crew, who's bow number 3. You can just see the left of screen. They're at the top of screen now as they come up towards the 1500 metre mark. These top 2 crews well clear. And clear of Loretto Kirribilli in 3rd spot. PLC Perth will be 4th through that 1500 metre mark in the green colours. That's the blue boat of Loretto Kirribilli in 3rd spot. PLC Perth in 4th. And as Richard mentioned, Shelford Girls Grammar. They're merging with Caulfield Grammar. They're going to be a huge school. I think it's, what, 600 kids at Shelford Girls Grammar and already 3,400 at...
Yeah, well over 3,000 at Caulfield Grammar School. So that will be, quite the, I guess, a different program. I know a number of the Shelford girls are not all going on to Caulfield, some moving to, I think, to Furbank and other schools. There's quite a lot of educational institutions in that part of Melbourne. But yes, the Shelford name won't be lost to the Sport Buck because they have donated a new trophy for the schoolgirls double scull, the Shelford Cup, that will be raced for tomorrow as well. And just confirmation to that, Walford crew was actually in 2017.
17,
become
there you go.
a relatively strange concept in recent years, but it was only 7 years ago. Walford Anglican, the winners of that race for South Australia. I think the Catherines of Melbourne might have won it the year before that too, as their last win in the event.
So this strong Seymour College crew from South Australia have Clearwater over MLC Q. Another of the powerhouses in this event. In the history books, I think they've won it up there with the most of any of the schools.
Many times, definitely, yes.
Pymble would be another. So, and they'll get to renew those rivalries tomorrow on final Sunday of the Australian Rowing Championships 2024. Seymour College take out Repechage 2 of the Schoolgirl 8. Joining them in the A final will be MLCQ. They're the 2 qualifiers for the A final. Loretto Kirribilli will go through to the B final. And joining them will be PLC Perth, who plays 4th, and Shelford Girls Grammar, who will cross in 5th position.
Seymour College across there in 6:53.33 their time, which for what it's worth is about 4 seconds faster than the previous repechage. So Seymour College in first place, MLCQ in second. They go through to the final of the race for the Sydney Cup. 3rd, Loretto Kirribilli. 4th, PLC Perth. And 5th, the combination from Shelford Girls Grammar School as they approach the line. And we are just about set for the final tomorrow of the Sydney Cup, with our 8 finalists now determined after race 480. Very quickly to the repechage in the schoolboys at Cox State. Again, 2 repechages here to determine our remaining 4 A finalists tomorrow. And on the course, we do have a full field at this time round. All 6 crews present. Newington Lane 2, Brisbane Grammar School in 3, the Shaw School in 4, St Peters in 5, Prince Alfred College Lane 6, and Brisbane Grammar School Lane 7 with 2 boats in the race. The Lane 3 crew is their open Thursday, the Division 1 crew that finished 2nd in the GPS Head of the River just a couple of weeks ago at Lake Wyaralong. But it is the crew from the Shaw School out in front, comfortably leading it from Newington.
Yes, for sure, that was 2nd in the New South Wales GPS Head of the River. And they're coached by Jason Baker, OAM. His first season there, he moved across from Scots College, where he was successful in breaking their long drought in 2020 to a win in the Head of the River. Their last one in 1978. And that was held just before the pandemic closed everything down and the world changed quite a little bit. So Shaw leading this one. Forget about Newington. They're not in the lead by 1:22. It is Shaw that are in the lead from Brisbane Grammar School. And then over to the St Peters College crew, followed by Newington and Prince Alfred College. And the second of the Brisbane Grammar School crews in lane number 7 will be next through in 6th position.
St Peters won this race too, didn't they, back at, was it Lake Barrington 2022?
First South Australian crew
of the Barrington Cup.
Was it? Yeah,
yes.
So, yeah,
2021, I should say, Lake Barrington. So 3 years ago.
Yeah. So, rivalry, Shaw School. They're out in front. improved throughout the season, and as a Jason Baker crew always does, they always get better throughout the season, and we'll often joke about them being notorious slow starters, and but always get quicker and quicker. And they're looking the goods here to qualify. Top 2 to go through to the A final, and the rest through to the B final. So who will join them? Will it be Brisbane Grammar School, or will it be St Peter's College? Newington there in 4th position, just out of Prince Alfred College in 5th, and then back to the 2nd of the Brisbane Grammar School crews. But St Peter's looking a little bit of trouble here. Brisbane Grammar looking good in 2nd spot. Shaw looking even better in the lead. They're looking very relaxed out in front, and they're going to take out the win. Brisbane Grammar School in 2nd spot, and St Peter's are going to have to go through to the B final. So Brisbane Grammar 2nd, St Peter's 3rd, Newington College will be 4th, and Prince Alfred College in 5th position, and 6th will be the 2nd of the Brisbane Grammar School crews that goes through to the B final.
So it is the Shaw School going through in 1st spot from repechage 1 of the schoolboys at Cox 8. 2nd place narrowly Brisbane Grammar School by 2/3 of a second over St Peter's College of South Australia. So Shaw and Brisbane Grammar into the race for the Barrington Cup in the A final tomorrow. Shaw first in 6:04.86, 3.99 seconds ahead of Brisbane Grammar School. So those 2 crews through to the A final. The rest of the field to the B final to be raced a bit earlier on tomorrow's program. We have one repechage complete, another one coming down the course now in the Schoolboys Cox State. This event sponsored by Bolle, and once again 1st and 2nd will go through to the A final to determine the last 2 spots in that race for the Barrington Cup. We do have field of 6 on the course. Scotch College Adelaide in lane 2, Brisbane Boys College in lane 3, the Hutchins School from Tasmania in 4, St Ignatius in lane 5, Friends School from Tasmania lane 6, and St Joseph's Nudgee College racing in lane 7. That distinctive blue boat there, which does lead out here, the Nudgee crew on lane 7. Such success, of course, as we discussed yesterday over the course of the past 10 or 15 years or so for Nudgee College, particularly under the coaching of John Bowes. As they come through the 1,000-metre mark with Nudgee clearly in front, 3:00.46 the time there. The Hutchins School of Tasmania in 2nd place, 2.28 seconds further back. St Ignatius 3rd, Friends 4th, Brisbane Boys College 5th, Scotch College Adelaide in 6th place. And welcome back, and congratulations on making the final of the Club Men's Double Scull, Ben Homer.
Thanks, Rich. Great to be here, and great racing conditions once again here on the Saturday afternoon, and a little bit of a later lunch break today, so I'm sure everyone looking forward to that. And then we've got some sprints this afternoon, which is always very, very exciting, but very important here. Top 2 spots in the A final, the Schoolboys Cox State, and this, of course, repechage number 2. Everyone else going through to the B final, and as you said, Rich, it's Nudgee College. And we saw that great documentary, which I'm pretty sure you can still catch on KO. I watched it on KO, on the Nudgee Schoolboys 8. So, yeah, if you have missed it, make sure you check it out.
I think probably was set 5 years ago. Was it 2019? Because they raced the Nationals again that year here on this course, and that was obviously the culmination of Nudgee College's season. It was pre-COVID, because they won a national title too on this course, Nudgee, a few years before that. Again, it all gets a bit hazy about a decade or so ago, but it was around about 2015, I think it was. Nudgee College won the Barrington Cup, and they're certainly well placed here to look to go through to the final and race for the silverware for the 2nd time in their history. It would be. The rowing program, of course, only began in the very late 1990s, moving into the GPS program in Brisbane with firstly with some Year 8 rowers, then went up to Year 9, 10 and through the program. So they first rowed and opened first 8 in the early 2000s, and as I mentioned a few times, won it 9 times since then. A very impressive record from Nudgee College. Still leading here after 1,500 metres from, looked like the St Ignatius crew, I think, was in 2nd place behind them. 2.15 seconds between them. Half a second then back to the Friends School, who need to work now to stay in the top 2. Brisbane Boys College, who are 4th, and Scotch College Adelaide in 5th place.
How tight's this going to get, do you feel? Because you can see the crews coming at Nudgee here.
Yeah, it's been a great morning's racing so far. There's been some extremely close racing, especially in the big boats, the 8s and the quads, and we're seeing it been whittled back here by St Ignatius, who've moved up past the Friends School. Hutchins alongside them, then Brisbane Boys College back in 5th place and Scotch Adelaide in 6th. I don't think those two will change, but our top 4 are lined up across the course. Still it is the dark blue boat of Nudgee College, 2 lanes across to St Ignatius from Sydney, the Friends School in the red colours, and Hutchins, the 2 Tasmanian schools, currently 3rd and 4th, might just miss out, but coming home well is the Hutchins School. Nudgee College, in fact, will have to keep moving here. St Ignatius are there. The Hutchins School in 3rd ahead of Friends now, still Nudgee narrowly. St Ignatius might go past them, and Hutchins as well as they surge the line. It'll beat St Ignatius, and also Hutchins going through lanes 5 and 4 will get the positions there into the A final. Nudgee College will narrowly miss out in a brilliant finish from those 2 crews in the centre of the course. The Friends School in 4th place, also there for the Tasmanians. 5th goes to Brisbane Boys College, and 6th will be the crew from Scotch College Adelaide. But Ben, you picked that one a few hundred metres out. Nudgee looked home, then all of a sudden the crews in the centre really got moving, and St Ignatius and Hutchins will go through to the final, the A final, and race for the Barrington Cup, just ahead of Nudgee and Friends, then Brisbane Boys College and Scotch Adelaide.
Geez, the agony and the ecstasy, Rich, on show there. Look at that. Nudgee absolutely devastated, because you look at that race, 9 times out of 10, a crew in front at that point in the race, you probably expect them to go on and win it, but that is some outstanding rowing. You've got to credit the coxing work as well of St Ignatius and Hutchins to get both of those crews to the line. That is just superb racing. You could not ask for a better race than that on this Saturday afternoon, day 6 of the Australian Rowing Championship. So it's Nudgee miss out, so too to Friends, Brisbane Boys and Scotch College Adelaide. That is classic 8 rowing. We wish we got that all the time, Rich. That is just
brilliant.
Awesome.
It was a great race, and yes, you have to, not something I often say, but you have to feel sorry for Nudgee College there. They were in, it looked to be in a good spot, and the other crews just flew home in the centre of the course. But the adjusted margins there, it was that close, about half a second first to second, half a second second to third, and then 1.36 seconds back to Friends. So St Ignatius and Hutchins will get the qualifying spot. So 1 crew from Sydney, 1 from Tasmania, go through tomorrow to race for the Barrington Cup. And if the final's half as good as that semi-final just was, in fact the repechage just was, but effectively a semi-final with 2 finalists emerging there, a brilliant race.
Well, isn't it incredible? And this is why we love sport, but it's also why people hate sport as well when you go through that. But that's the difference between absolutely devastated. And you think about 0.58 of a second, it's gone. We've just had about 4 of them in the last... well, I've said that. So
we can barely say a word in that amount of time.
Yeah, you do have to feel for Nudgee, and that is heartbreaking for them. But
they'll get a B final tomorrow,
yeah.
So a second chance in a sense, and they'll be racing for position, well, 9th place, of course, to the winner of the B final. So that is the 2 repechages of the Schoolboys Cox Day. It's just so often a highlight of the regattas, the Schoolboys and Schoolgirls 8, and promises to be some great races late on tomorrow morning's program. The last 4 races before lunch tomorrow being the finals of the Schoolgirls and Schoolboys 8, and then the club women's and men's 8s as well. So 4 8s races to conclude the morning program, and then we have the interstate regatta to follow.
Is that shot a bit deceptive? Because you'd look at that shot of those flags flying and you'd think it's blowing an absolute gale. Yeah, well, it's certainly not. It's pretty good conditions. Well,
you've been on the water today, so I've been sitting here in the confines of the air-conditioned soundproof booth, but conditions are fairly good, it looks like, out there in the water.
Well, the issue is I rode last on Thursday Arvo, and it was probably the worst conditions then of the whole week. So anything's better than that. But yeah, it's pretty nice conditions. Probably not the most perfect conditions we've had this week, but that is the bar that this regatta centre sets, let's be fair. So we've got the PR3 Mixed Cox 4 on the course. They are underway. So lane 4 is the Community Bundaberg Composite. Lane 5 is Community Bundaberg Shellharbour Tasmania University Composite. Lane 6 is ANU Drummoyne Nestles Uni of Queensland Composite. So they're the 3 crews. It looks as though it's the Community Bundaberg Shellharbour Tasmania University Composite. We're really going to pump through that. And I can tell you, Stuart John, one of our commentary buddies, he is in the boat there in lane 6. Now, I've got a little note here from him that he's left, and he is wearing...
He's leaving us notes on his own race. He's so organised.
Oh, it's outstanding. Now, you might... the ANU Zudi. Now, he's actually wearing Licorice All Sorts socks today in recognition of his Licorice All Sorts crew in the PR3. Couple of see that crew in lane 4. There's a couple from, there's 3, it looks, from Community Rowing Club, and then 1 from Bundaberg, which is Christian Lane Krebs. But I'll just run through the names here, Rich. So that crew out in front, that is Michael Taylor from Tasmania University Boat Club in Stroke, Kevin Wall from Shellharbour, then Rebecca Markwell, so he's in seat 3. Then we've got Rebecca Markwell in 2, and Lauren Webber from Community Rowing Club, and she is in bow. Jackie Peel is the cox. They are coached by Liam James and Alan Goff. Second place at the moment, Kaylee Mitchell from Uni of Queensland, and she's in 3 seat there. Aaron Skinner from Nestles is in 2 seats. Stephanie Walker in bow. Stuart John in stroke seat. They are coxed by Priscilla Russell, coached by Kathleen Hextall and Michael Russell. And then back in 3rd place, we'll see them as they cross here at the 500 metre timing check. So it's the Community Composite in 5 leading from the ANU Composite. Then it's Community Bundaberg in 4. Bronte Marshall from Community Rowing Club. Eleanor Taylor from Community Rowing Club. Christian Lane Krebs from Bundaberg. He's in 3 seat. Christian Lane Krebs. Sam Shaloub from Community Rowing Club. I'm just trying to have a look. Sam Shaloub looks to be from that drone shot in the stroke seat. But we'll get a closer look as this race goes on. Anne Craig is the cox of that boat, and they are coached by Liam James and Alan Goff. So heading towards the halfway point, and the crew out in front is opening up a bit of a gap here back to the ANU composite boat.
Just worth noting, we did have a crew in lane 3 that has its scratch from the race, unfortunately, because that was largely the Australian PR3 mixed coxed 4. That will head overseas and represent Australia later in the year through to the Paralympics, but they did scratch from the race late yesterday. So a field of 3 remains here in this race for the PR3 Mixed Cox 4 Championship of Australia. And it is certainly the, 2 crews listed as Community Composite, but it's the lane 5 combination there in the centre of the course, Community Bundaberg, Shellharbour and Tasmania University, who are starting to pull away to a pretty comfortable looking lead here, about almost close to 2 lengths, in fact, it would be for that crew of Michael Taylor, Kevin Wall, Rebecca Markwell and Lauren Webber, coxed by Jackie Peel, coached by Liam James and Alan Goff.
Now, I'm just revealing a private conversation I had with Stuart, but I don't think there's anything juicy in it that's going to cause any offence. But he did
Nothing's private when told to a regatta commentator, is it?
I know, that's why I'm very careful what I say. So he was saying that, yeah, that Mercantile Composite, the QAS VIS crew, which has scratched out of this race, he said they were going to be obviously the top crew, the Aussie PR3 Mixed Cox 4. But he said the other 3 crews are going to be pretty even. It'll be a great race for second in the end. We've got the Aussie crew out, so it's going to be a really good race here for gold, silver and bronze. And you can see here the split's about 5.14. We'll just see how that plays out to the 1,500 metre mark, because they might be coming home here quite strongly. Community Bundaberg 8.79. So let's keep an eye on. To me, the gap has just closed a little bit. So ANU Composite maybe just closing in here on the Community Bundaberg Composite crew. We know Stuart, he likes to come home strong, and he's in the control seat there in stroke. So
absolutely,
he's going to drive it home at the back end here.
Yeah, no, it'll be very, very interesting to see indeed how this race progresses over the final now, about 800 metres or so. The ANU Composite crew there in lane 6. That's the lane 5 crew who leads it on screen. There's the gap between the 2, so it maybe has narrowed just a little bit, Ben, down to probably 1.5 lengths now. That crew in lane 6, Kaylee Mitchell, Aaron Skinner, Stephanie Walker and Stuart John, coxed by Priscilla Russell, coached by Kathleen Hextall and Michael Russell. And there is Stuart John in the stroke seat.
Yeah, he says it's much more fun commentating on a commentator than it is out there in the water when you're in this situation.
Indeed, I've little doubt about that.
But I'll say this, Rich, when you cross the line, it's much better being in the boat. Let's just say that.
We know
you get a much better feeling.
We noted, I'm sure you'll watch the replay later on, we noted during your race the celebrations of coming across in third place. A lot of splashing of the water in your Newcastle Grammar combination. So clearly a Newcastle Rowing Club combination, I should say. So we know you enjoyed that placing in the double scull race.
Well, I just for everyone, and no, it's everyone knows this that's out there rowing or coaching or whatever. It's to make a national final. It means so much to everyone that makes it through, because you're working so hard. This is obviously nationals, New South Wales, you know, WA, whatever your state title is. You're working towards those races, and to make it through to the final is is massive. So
it is indeed. You've got to be in the final obviously to have a chance to win it. There'll be 8 boats lining up tomorrow, and they've all worked very hard to get through the field there. But this is now the closing 500 metres in the final of the PR3 Mixed Cox 4, and it still is that community composite crew that leads it from the ANU composite, 4.65 seconds now, so a pretty similar margin as it was at the halfway point of the race.
Yeah, so they pulled back about half a second in that third 500. Is it enough? You'd probably say probably not. But we've seen margins like that pulled back before. Is going to be tough, though, in the bigger boat. And they're having a good look here at Community Composite crew just to make sure that the ANU Composite doesn't get within striking distance.
The third crew over on the far side, the Community Bundaberg Composite combination, Bronte Marshall, Eleanor Taylor, Christian Lane Krebs, Sam Shaloub and Anne Craig, coached by Liam James and Alan Goff. Christian Lane Krebs picking up a gold medal yesterday with Stuart John. And he sits now in third position there, that combination on the far side of the course. So it still is the Community Bundaberg, Shellharbour, Tasmania University, Licorice All Sorts crew who leads it here. And maybe, if anything, they have extended a little more now as they head towards the final 120 metres of this race.
Really ripping that blade through the water, isn't he? Michael Taylor from Tasmania University Boat Club, keeping that rating up, getting them through to the line. And they're going to come through here and win the national title here in the PR3 Mixed Cox. Folks, to cross the line, Community Bundaberg, Shellharbour, Tasmania University, they win the Australian Championship in the PR3 Mixed Cox 4. Silver goes to the ANU Drummoyne Nestles Uni of Queensland Composite. And then the Community Composite with Bundaberg in third place. 8:20.74. So Michael Taylor, Kevin Wall, Rebecca Markwell and Lauren Webber. And they are coxed by Jackie Peel, coached by Liam James and Alan Goff. So there is the third place Community Bundaberg crew. ANU Composite, they get silver, Stuart John, Stephanie Walker, Aaron Skinner, Kaylee Mitchell, coxed by Priscilla Russell, coached by Kathleen Hextall and Michael Russell.
8:20.74 the time there unofficially at this stage, and 5.96, almost 6 seconds between the two crews, but a win there to Community Bundaberg, Shellharbour and Tasmania University in the final of the PR3 Mixed Cox 4. We'll have the presentation for that race coming up shortly.
And here we go. Here we go, Rich. Well, we're all excited about this, aren't we? It is the Open Women's Coxed 8 for the Florence Eaton Trophy. In lane 1, far right of screen, Melbourne University with the VIS. In lane 2, Sydney University with NSWIS and QAS. In lane 3, Uni of Queensland, that is QAS as well. WA Rowing Club Composite with QAS, NTC and VIS. There's West Australian Mercantile, Swan River, Uni of WA, UTS Haberfield, Melbourne Uni. The Sydney Rowing Club, NSWIS crew in lane 5. The Cairns Composite, Cairns Swan River, Fremantle, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise with the WA Institute of Sport in 6. The Buckingham Adelaide Composite in 7. The Melbourne Uni, Sydney Adelaide, and the university crew, that is Melbourne University as well in that one. VIS, NSWIS, NTC and the South Australian Sports Institute. It is a big field, and they are off, and at the moment it looks as though it's that WA Rowing Club composite crew who are leading from the start, but there is so much more to go in this Open Women's Cox State, Rich.
Yeah, a couple of NTC crews are on the water here again. We saw that in the men's 8 race earlier on, also in the Open Women's Cox Quad Scull. So great to see our national athletes here for the business end of this regatta after what I know for the Women's National Training Centre. It's been a pretty serious week of training as well, but represented here in these couple of boats, lanes 4 and lane 8, the West Australian Rowing Club composite crew on lane 4, the Melbourne Uni composite crew racing in lane 8, and they have already powered clear by a bit of a margin in the early strokes of the race, but that lane 4 crew, Lucy Steffen, Katrina Wary, Georgie Rowe, Bronwyn Cox, Jackie Swick, Paige Barr, Jess Morrison, Georgia Patton, and Hayley Vivanta Cox there of that crew in lane 4. And the lane 8 crew is Eliza Gaffney, Georgie Gleeson, Sarah Marriott, Lily Alton, Ella Bramwell, Sam Morton, Eleanor Price, Jean Mitchell, and Kendall Brody. And coached by John Keogh, Tom Westgarth, and Ellen Randell, of course, at the National Training Centre just down the road on the Pean River in Penrith. But going through already after 500 metres completed, just over 1 minute 30 there, 1:30.28 the time for the Mercantile composite crew. And they've got 1.94 seconds, so clearing out in the early stages over the Melbourne Uni composite crew in second place. Canned composite with third, the crew there on lane 6. Melbourne Uni were fourth on right over on lane 1. Sydney Uni well, next lane 2, University of Queensland in 3, Sydney in lane 5, and Buckingham Adelaide, the composite crew, racing in lane 7, were in 8th spot. But there were not that many seconds between the entire field. Our top 2 crews, certainly the National Training Centre crews, out in front after 750 metres of this race.
Yeah, it is looking so tight between these top 2. You just wonder whether they can pull back some ground here before the halfway point and make it a real drag race between the top 2 to the finish line. You can see third place looks fairly clear cut at the moment. That's the canned composite with the WA Institute of Sport, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, Fremantle, Swan River, and Canned Rowing Club in that boat. But there is lane 4 out in front. Crews from all across the country in that boat, as is the case in this one. Melbourne University, Sydney, Adelaide, University of Queensland. And we're going to get the split times here at the 1K. And we'll get through those times. So 3:02.36, Melbourne Uni 2.61 further back. And then in the bronze medal position at the moment is the canned composite crew. And they were holding a gap of around 2.5 seconds on Sydney University. But it's a fair gap back from the top 2 to third. Those two look to have the gold and silver in their keeping at the moment. And which way it goes, well, a lot's going to unfold here in the final 750 metres.
They continue on a pace down the course here in the race for the Florence Eaton Trophy. So the crew out in front, the National Training Centre, who we likely expect to be the Australian Women's 8. They're still in a squad at this stage, racing of an 8 and a 4 and some reserves. So I don't think the official crews have been locked in yet, but they are the athletes in contention, of course, for the boats. As Australia, as we mentioned earlier on, during the men's 8, looks to win their first ever gold medal in an Olympic 8s event, either men's or women's. And these are the athletes who will be competing for that honour on the Paris Olympic course in about 4 months from now when the Olympics come around. So the lane 4 crew continues to lead, and they've stretched that lead out now to, it was 2.61 seconds at the 1,000 metre mark. They'll soon come through the next timing check at 1,500 metres with Mercantile Composite leading it from Melbourne Uni Composite, the lane 8 crew. They're on screen now in second place, and you can see there's over a length now between the two as they do come through the 1,500 metre mark. So it's the lane 4 crew, Mercantile Composite, leading it from Melbourne Uni Composite by just over 4 seconds, 4:36.43 that time to 1,500 metres, and then a long gap back to the remainder of the field. It looks like it's the canned composite crew with a number of the West Australian clubs, and also Griffith University Surfers Paradise racing in lane 6 should be third. Sydney University next, just ahead of Melbourne Uni, and the University of Queensland Sydney Rowing Club in 7th place, and Buckingham Adelaide, the composite crew there across in 8th place. But the 2 NTC crews certainly have gone comfortably clear, and it continues to be The composite combination on lane 4, Stefan Wary, Rowe, Cox, Swick, Bar, Morrison, Patton and Verbunt. The leading crew ahead of lane 8, the crew of Gaffney, Gleeson, Marriott, Alton, Bramwell, Morton, Price, Mitchell, Brody, and of course coaches of both those crews, John Keogh, Tom Westgarth and Ellen Randell. Couple of 100 metres here still to race for these leading crews, but it continues to be the composite crew in lane 4 in the race for the Florence Eaton Trophy as they fly down towards the finish line here. Clear likely of that canned composite crew in lane 6, Cairns Swan River, Fremantle and Griffith University. But the race for the Florence Eaton Trophy in the Open Women's Cox Day Championship of Australia is going to go the way of a very, very good crew on lane 4 coming across now to take the win. So it's the composite crew lane 4 who wins it. Second goes to Melbourne Uni Composite lane 8. The two MCT crews comfortably first and second place in the Open Women's Cox Day. Third will go back to the canned composite crew on lane 6. They'll get the bronze medal shortly. Melbourne Uni and Sydney Uni going stroke for stroke on the far side too in the race for 4th and 5th, and narrowly Melbourne University will get there in 4th place. Sydney Uni 5th. 6th will be the University of Queensland lane 3. 7th goes to Sydney Rowing Club, and 8th place will be the Buckingham and Adelaide composite crew racing in lane 7. But it is the NTC crew, the West Australian Rowing Club composite crew with Mercantile, Swan River, University of Western Australia, UTS Haberfield and Melbourne University who win the Florence Eaton Trophy.
6:09.08, the unofficial time for the Mercantile, Swan River, Uni of WA and UTS Haberfield with Melbourne University.
The presentation of medals for the PR3 Mixed Cox 4 Championship of Australia. Medals will be presented by Merv Tippett, life member of Rowing Tasmania. In second place, and silver medalists, composite crew from the Australian National University, Drummoyne, Nestles and University of Queensland rowing clubs. Kaylee Mitchell, Aaron Skinner, Stephanie Walker, Stuart John, Priscilla Russell, who was coached by Kathleen Hextall and Michael Russell. A gold medalist and Australian champions for 2024. Composite club from the community Bundaberg, Shellharbour and Tasmania University boat clubs. Lauren Webber, Rebecca Markwell, Kevin Wall, Michael Taylor, and Jackie Peel. crew is coached by Liam James and Alan Goff. Please congratulate our Australian champions and medalists in the PR3 Mixed Coxed 4. Conclusion of our para-rowing events. The Bob Blake Shield will now be presented to the winning states across the para-rowing program at the Australian Championships. And the Bob Blake Shield will be presented by Merv Tippett to the winning state, New South Wales. Congratulations to the rowers from New South Wales, winners of the Bob Blake Shield for 2024. We go back down to the start line for what will shortly be the last of our races before a very, very late lunch break on the 6th day of this regatta. And don't forget, of course, our sprint regatta will be underway from 3 p.m. So lunch will be a fairly short lunch, maybe afternoon tea is more correct. Cotswolds moving into line for the last race of the first half of the day. Last about 2,000 metres races for today as well. Of course, the sprint's taking place over 500 metres coming up in only about 45 minutes time. So lots to look forward to over the course of this afternoon. But for now, we have the final of the Open Men's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. And again, a great number of our NTC athletes will be on the Surfers Paradise Buckingham North Eskin Can, so a 4-way composite crew racing on lane 2. UTS Haberfield racing in lane 3. The West Australian Rowing Club ANU and Adelaide in lane 4. Corio Bay UTS Tamar Commercial in 5. And Capital Lakes Adelaide University Canberra and the Australian National University in lane 6. And they are on their way as our drone zooms in high above these crews in race 485, the final of the Open Men's Quadruple Scull. And getting away to a very good early start. The lane 6 crew, well, just with their bow in front there. You can see how close it is in the early strokes as lane 6, 4 and 2 emerge with the smallest of leads in the early strokes of this race. So the Capital Lakes Composite lane 6, the West Australian Rowing Club Composite lane 4 and the Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite crew racing in lane 2. And as they move through the first few hundred metres now and start to settle down into their work, it is the crew there in the Australian boat on lane 4. Oscar McGuinness, Caleb Antle, Jack Cleary and Alex Rossi, who narrowly led this race after 250 metres.
So, Rich, what's your gut feel in this one? We've got the WA Rowing Club Composite crew. You'd probably look at them and go, probably close to favouritism. Capital Lakes Composite, they're doing well here. UTS Haberfield finished with the silver medal in the under-23 quad. They just got brought back by the WA Rowing Club Composite for gold. So this could be a red-hot race. As you can see, the Aussie blades there, and you said the Aussie boat as well for that WA Rowing Club Composite crew. So can they keep themselves ahead of this really good start, this from the Capital Lakes Composite? You can see Hamish Harding there from ANU, Cormac Hayes from Canberra, Nick Blackman from Adelaide Uni, Harry Glacken from Capital Lakes, coached by David Framano and Nicholas Mitchell.
And Cleary and Rossi, who are in this that leading West Australian Composite crew race really well in the double sculls yesterday, pushing the Australian men's double of David Bartholow and Marcus Delamata all the way down the course here for a silver medal. So certainly now in that lane 4 boat, you would certainly have them as the favourites. And it's playing out that way as they move out to about a 2/3 of a boat length lead. It was just 0.71 of a second after 500 metres over the Capital Lakes Composite Crew Lane 6. So crew in Lane 6 is Hamish Harding from the ANU, Cormac Hayes of Canberra, Nick Blackman from Adelaide Uni, and Harry Glacken from the Capital Lakes Rowing Club, again in the ACT. But they are certainly our top 2 crews, and it's not quite a length, or just about on a length, in fact, between them now with a bit of angle there as we look across the course. And as always, in these races with our top rowers coming down the course, plenty of bikes following it also down on that southern side of the Sydney International Regatta Centre. So it is Oscar McGuinness of Adelaide Rowing Club, Caleb Antle of ANU, Jack Cleary of the West Australian Rowing Club, and Alex Rossi of the West Australian Rowing Club. Those 2 rowers in the red colours there of the West Australian Rowing Club, but in fact in the bow and stroke seats of this particular crew, and just over a length now ahead of Hamish Harding from the ANU, Cormac Hayes of Canberra Rowing Club, Nick Blackman of Adelaide University, who's been so successful in this regatta at under 23 level, and Harry Glacken of the Capital Lakes Rowing Club.
That crew out in front, of course, with Cleary and Antle, who were part of the Aussie men's quad that won bronze at the last Olympics. And that gap has opened up, as you're discussing, Rich, that ANU crew, composite crew, Capital Lakes, Adelaide Uni, of course, ANU rower in the crew that's leading in Caleb Antle. And you've got WA Rowing Club's Rossi and Cleary at both ends of the boat, and pretty clear cut between the gold, silver and bronze. There's the peloton. Quite a few riders in the bunch there on the way down here. And there's about 100 metres or so until we get the final time check before the finish line.
And just confirmation, it is Campbell Watts in for Oscar McGuinness in that leading crew. I was slightly confused by the seating in that boat, but yes, it is Campbell Watts who's replaced Oscar McGuinness in that crew, along with Caleb Antle, Jack Cleary and Alex Rossi. Do lead, and lead pretty well now after 1,500 metres, 4:26.15, and a 2-length lead it is to the West Australian Rowing Club crew, undergoing a late reshuffle and change of seating order as well over the Capital Lakes Composite crew in second place. Almost 5 seconds, in fact, between them. Griffith University Surfers Paradise Composite are in third place over on the other side of the course. That's Alec Patterson of Cairn, Jack Barrett of North Est, Joseph Wilson of Buckingham, and Jackson Free from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise crew. So 2 Tasmanians, 2 Queenslanders in that particular boat. And then in fourth place, we had the Corio Bay Composite crew, Alexander Jeremijenko of Commercial, William Birchmore of Tamar, Sam Green, UTS, and Xavier Hall-Sullivan of Corio Bay. So again there, we have that's a 4-state composite crew covering the entire eastern seaboard all the way to Tasmania. And in fifth place then, it was the UTS Haberfield Rowing Club, who thankfully have put a non-composite crew in the race. Harry Curtin, Patrick Burke, Mitchell Caponis, Henry Blackwell, coached by Matthias and Judith Ungermuck.
Yeah, and you think they would be heavily fatigued after that under-23 quad, and then they got a back up in the open quad. That's pretty tough going after racing and winning the silver medal in that one. But here we go, Rich. It's going to be the WA Rowing Club Composite that are going to get over the line.
Yes, indeed. Still clear by about 2 lengths. So a strong wind coming up to the combination of Campbell Watts, Caleb Antle, Jack Cleary and Alex Rossi as they close in for the win in the Open Men's Quadruple Scull Championship of Australia. It goes to the West Australian Rowing Club Composite crew in the centre of the course. Just over 2 lengths it'll be back to Capital Lakes, Adelaide Uni, Canberra, ANU. Lane 6 in second place. Third will be lane 2. The Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Buckingham, North Esk and Cairn composite combination. 4th to 5th, they'll be tight on the line. It'll go the way of UTS, who stormed home there from 5th up to 4th in the final few strokes. And the Corio Bay composite combination finishes in 5th position.
So that unofficial time for the WA Rowing Club Composite, 5:55.92. And they win gold in this one. Capital Lakes Composite with silver. Further 6.43 seconds back, and then Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise composite crew with bronze. UTS Haberfield have just got Corio Bay on the line. It's got here 0.17. Just got themselves over the line to earn themselves 4th spot.
Presentation of medals and the Florence Eaton Trophy for the Open Women's Coxed 8 Championship of Australia. Medals will be presented by Sally Leake, Rowing Australia Director. In 3rd place and bronze medalists, composite crew from the Cairn to Swan River, Fremantle and Griffith University Surfers Paradise rowing clubs of Laura Chancellor, Danica Free, Lindsay Calvert, Emma Wilson, Genevieve Hart, Greta Spencer, Jess Scott, Madeline Williams, and Jono Cook. Crew is coached by Scott Rowe, Mark Beer and Christopher Holiday. In 2nd place and silver medalists, composite crew from the Melbourne University, Sydney University, Sydney Adelaide and University of Queensland boat clubs of Olympia Aldersea, Georgie Gleeson, Sarah Marriott, Lily Alton, Ella Bramwell, Samantha Morton, Eleanor Price, Jean Mitchell, Kendall Brody, who is coached by John Keogh, Tom Westgarth and Ellen Randell. The gold medalists and Australian champions for 2024. Composite crew from the Mercantile, Melbourne University, Swan River, UTS Haberfield and University of Western Australia boat clubs. Eliza Gaffney, Bronwyn Cox, Georgie Rowe, Trina Werry. Lucy Steffen. Jess Morrison. Paige Barr. Hayley Verbunt. Who was also coached by John Keogh, Tom Westgarth and Ellen Randell. The Florence Eaton Trophy will now be presented by Sally Leake. Please congratulate our 2024 Australian champions and medalists in the Open Women's Coxed 8. In the event of an emergency or evacuation, please follow the direction of events and venue staff. All cyclists must wear a helmet throughout the venue. Dogs must be kept on a leash and kept under control at all times. Please avoid leaving bags or personal belongings unattended. Keep Cirque clean. Make sure that you put your rubbish in the bins provided. Make sure to stay sun smart and slip, slop, slap and sip. Slip on a long sleeve shirt after racing, slop on some sunscreen, slap on a hat and sip on some water to keep you hydrated. For the latest results and daily draws, visit our website arc.rowingaustralia.com.au.
Don't forget to check out our traders and boat builders in the boat park to service your boats and provide spare parts. We have Sykes, Croker Oars, Wintec, Rowfit, Row Gear and Perfect Balance Rowing. There's a range of products and services on offer in the Regatta Village. We've got you covered from head to toe with high definition sports lenses from Bolle, rowing jewellery from Sport Republic, rowing apparel from 776 BC and innovative rowing shoes from Bont Rowing. Please don't forget to pick up your official merchandise from the Regatta shop. There are refreshments available thanks to Bonsoy. Row Gear has you covered with rowing accessories. Wexworks have LED lights and safety vests for sale. Pontoon Sports and Rival Kit have custom apparel available. And check out our health and wellness traders. Elements Float Health Spa for all your recovery needs. And Gotcha for Life is a foundation dedicated to building a mentally fit future, who are here raising money with a 24-hour row.
Welcome to Sydney. Upbeat, downbeat. Feel its heartbeat. Open spaces. Come
Presentation of medals for the Open Men's Quad. Third place and bronze medalists. Opposite crew from the Griffith University Surfers Paradise, Buckingham, North Esk and Cairns Rowing Clubs. Alec Patterson, Joseph Wilson, Jack Barrett, and Jackson Free. Second place and silver medalists. Composite crew from the Capital Lakes, Adelaide University, Canberra and Australian National University clubs. Hamish Harding, Nick Blackman, Cormac Hayes and Harry Glacken. Crew is coached by David Fremano and Nick Mitchell. Our gold medalists and Australian champions for 2024. Opposite crew from the West Australian, Sydney University and Australian National University boat clubs. Jack Cleary, Caleb Ansell, Campbell Watts, and Alex Rossi. Please congratulate our 2024 Australian champions and medalists in the Open Men's Quadruple Scull. Congratulations to our crews and place getters there as the official photographs are taken. That does conclude the 2,000 metre section of today's regatta. A small lunch or afternoon tea break, take your pick, coming up for the next 25 minutes or so. And we resume racing at 3 o'clock with the first of our sprint races. The heat of the Schoolgirls Cox Quad Scull Sprint coming up at 3 o'clock. And Chris McCarthy and I will be back to bring you the action for that race in about 25 minutes' time.